Hi. I don't know what to. I mean, I'm nothing's going on. We just had a long business meeting before this, and I'm just like,
poor Eva. Every time we record, Eva's like, I just have a couple of things to go over, and then Em and I act like surly teenagers the whole time, and we're like, it's probably just me, but we're like, fine, whatever. We're just kind of like, we're just. I don't know the right word, but it's like Eva's the messenger, and we're like just over all this, the oftentimes not great news she's bringing. It's not bad stuff. It's just like complications and logistics. And Em and I are sitting here like, meh, we don't want to deal with this right now. So we've developed a new procedure.
Yeah, we're now going to have a sad happy hour once a week where instead of Eva telling us things right before we record, she's gonna just have one meeting a week where she tells us all the stuff that like could possibly bum us out,
and we can kind of like troubleshoot and not feel the looming pressure of having to record right afterwards. So yeah. we're developing new strategies. Listen, you learn, you grow, you evolve.
I'm excited to try it. And I like that we're calling it Sad Happy Hour, and it's
me too. And I was telling them I just got a shirt that says Sad Girls Club, and I'm so excited to wear this to our first inaugural Happy Sad Hour.
And by the way, anyone who is like, reading into things, it's like they're not really bad things. They're just us being babies about not wanting to hear about logistics.
It's just children. We're just children. We're just small children, and we can't regulate our emotions.
Or like poor Eva has been, and also we have another person that works with us, Katie, who's
does a lot of admin and logistics and smart stuff.
Who's incredibly helpful. But they all talk to venues before we ever go, and so they're always telling us like the behind the scenes stuff of how projectors work.
Yeah, they're like
things
slight
like that. Like
problem, like the projector shattered into a million pieces. That did not happen anywhere. I'm just trying to give an example, but don't worry, they're fixing it. And Em and I are like helpless. Like, what do we do?
Like Sad Happy Hour is going to be reserved for the times where Eva kind of tells us like, something bad almost happened, but now something good's happening.
But don't worry.
But it always
she does send us through like a roller coaster,
Yeah, Eva just texted, by the way, and said the projector shattering literally did happen in San Diego.
Oh, wait. But to be fair, we were all there. So it wasn't like you had to break the news. We were all really watching it happen in real time. That did happen, yes. But we won't name names of where, and they did figure it out.
San Diego.
Actually, wait. I think everyone there knew, because we were like, sorry, the show's an hour late. The projector fell off the ceiling. Just normal things. Just normal podcast things.
Anyway, that's something that, if we had more time, we would have been debriefed at Sad Happy Hour. So
yes.
Anyway, I encourage all of you, if you are a supervisor or a manager, I encourage you having a Sad Happy Hour.
Okay, we're encouraging. We haven't tried it yet, so we can't say it's a tried and true method, but we're pretty confident.
The concept is sound, where
I would say
it's happy hour, so people bring their snackies and their drinks, and you just
because we're doing a 2-5. We're doing a 2-5. So you're at 2:00. I'm at 5:00. So mine is like actual happy hour time. Yours is like prime snack time. So we're hoping this kind of works. But I think it holds promise. I would say
it does. I think it's like this is just one way to get through the less
rigmarole.
The rigmarole. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I think a snacky's gonna really help me out here.
I just feel so bad because we sit there and we're like. Poor Eva's like, and one more thing.
Well,
like,
I feel very bad for Eva and all of our lovely admin who help out, but a lot of venues we've been dealing a lot at the time with like ADA compliance because I can't use stairs these days, and
it's a lot of logistical.
It's a lot of conversations about like can we do ramps? How do we get you backstage? Blah blah blah. So it's
a lot of back and forth. So it's like I went back and I circled back and I per my previous email, and so they handle all the difficult stuff. We just have to sit here and complain about it. You know what I mean?
So we are toddlers because we have to do nothing. They have to do all the back and forth phone calls, and we're acting like we're completely inconvenienced. So anyway, that's probably the most diva thing about us. Eva, Thoughts on that?
Eva?
Never mind. Don't say anything.
I hear crickets. That's not good.
Okay, well, anyway, sad happy hour. It's something that I'm both sad and happy to try. So
I'm kind of loving it because it also fits our brand. Like, I know it's just it's an intra personal thing, but it really fits the brand of the show too. So, you know,
I
if
don't
this
know why
really
we haven't been
works-
having happy hour, and that's why we drink this entire time.
Well, we just never stuck with it, which is why I'm not 110% sure this will really work as well as we hope, because we've tried a couple, like, remember we were going to do like a monthly happy hour with like Katie and Eva and, you know, Megan on social media. And then like we did one and it just never happened again. But I think the problem was it went like 3 hours long. And so we were like, wow, I think
we never did it again because it was so much fun, but we also realized that we took our like people's nights from
a lot of
like
time.
Everyone went to bed at like midnight, and I was like, oh, we did not mean to do that. It just fell in that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, wow.
We're gonna
does
try
everyone like being involved in our like
God,
office talk?
I mean, it's so boring. Sorry, guys. It's like the water cooler talk of, and that's why we drink, you know?
Oh, how do we not have any specials called the water cooler? I feel like that'd be fun.
I'm really into it.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's work. What's special? What?
We'll shop it. I don't know. Like a special
okay.
episode. I don't know. It's too late to make new things happen, is it?
Hang on. It's not too late to make new things. We just made a sad happy hour today.
Oh. Okay, that's a good point.
What if we do a water cooler? Maybe that can be our Patreon name. Remember when we couldn't come up with a name?
The water cooler. Yeah.
So we call it
could.
After Chat?
Well, it's like a more, and that's why we drink sound, because that's like office sound.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Like we need like a water cooler at a pub, you know?
What about open bar?
Oh!
Haven't we said this already? I feel like I'm having like deja vu, like we've already discussed this.
I don't know.
Maybe it was in a dream I had. I don't know. I like it though, open bar, you know, just kind of.
I like it. Speaking of open bar, I don't mean to brag, but I'm pretty sure I'm Employee of the Month up in space at the Star Tenders Academy. So
you are?
I have not been told, but I am saying I was on a fucking roll last night.
I'm so proud of you,
I had my shift. It was at 1 a.m. I worked for about, an hour, 2 hours, and made about 120 drinks. Didn't mess up one of them.
Yes.
Had a good
I'm
time.
so proud of you.
I would like a shirt that says Employee of the Month, so at
From the grog shop.
From the grog shop. From Ye Old Grog Tavern, yes.
Sadie made the most amazing illustration of your grog shop on Instagram. Did you see it?
I saw.
It's like beautiful.
It was to die for. And it's oddly similar to the bar I work at. So
yeah, I feel like maybe they knew they were onto something there because it nailed it.
I think so. Anyway, that's why I drink this week, because I have declared myself bartender of the week. The aliens really can't confirm or deny because they are not real. So there you
know what? With that attitude, of course not. But in my world,
if your boss wasn't real, you would just give yourself titles all the time. So I'm gonna lean into it.
Can I tell you something? If my boss wasn't real, I would do zero work ever. So you're already way ahead of me, and I think you deserve Employee of the Month because I would do nothing.
Well, to be fair, I'm your boss and you're my boss, and
fuck.
So
that's why we're back at a sad happy. Everything circles back to this sad happy hour. Sappy hour? No. No.
Had. Open bar.
Open bar. Let's just have an open bar and skip all the other stuff.
Yeah. Why do you drink this week, Christine?
I don't know, Em. I'm just in a mood today, and I made Blaze take me to Jungle Gyms and buy like 80 bags of candy. And so I bought like, oh my God, so many kinds. So I did like the pick your own, where they weigh it. I did that, of course, with like gummy sharks and atomic fireballs and these old timey strawberry ones that I love.
Oh, love them.
And then I also did like where are they? I didn't bring them, but like the kind of old school like Amish candies, the hard candies, and I got them in like 10 different flavors, and then I shoved them all in my nightstand. So at night I'm just like rustling around while Blaze is trying to sleep.
That's Eva's girlfriend has night nuts.
What is that?
I know way too much about Eva's girlfriend, but Eva's girlfriend has night nuts where she keeps nuts in her nightstand so she can rummage through like a little animal in the middle of the night.
I want to say like, wow, you know way too much, but also that is the kind of thing that Rachel would tell somebody on their first meeting.
Without prompting.
Without any prompt. Like, I want to be like, whoa, that's really intimate, but like, no, that's something Rachel would tell
How do you think I know about the night nuts? I never said, do you have night nuts?
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's not that you're like in the inner workings of, it's just kind of, that's the kind of thing she will announce to, no one in particular.
It's exactly how it happened. And by the way, I also don't think I asked what type of nuts the night nuts were, but I was still told.
Well, that was your big mistake.
They are almond butter covered almonds.
Wow, that's pretty meta, I would say.
So if you're looking for some night nuts for your nightstand, those, if you want to be just like Eva's girlfriend, that's what you gotta do.
And I do, and we all know it. So yeah, I think maybe that'll be, I'll go to Jungle Gyms and see what's in stock, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Oi, Christine. Well, that was a lot of banter.
I have a headache. I keep getting headaches. And I feel like it's you that's the problem.
That's fine. That's probably true.
Anyway, that's the end of my complaint.
I'm sorry you have a headache. I would give you, some stuff from the apothecary behind me, but again, you're not here. So
I have these 2 little apothecary bottles. You see, I've been putting up little shelves. Oh, by the way, I put this fake plant in my Webby. Look.
That's so smart.
Isn't that cute?
Don't let Allison hear it. She's going to take my Webbies and start filling them with dirt and plants.
We have plenty to spare. Wink.
Okay.
No, so I put a fake eucalyptus in it, and I put it under the skull picture that somebody made us.
That's so smart.
I was so into it, but I have little apothecary bottles because you left them in the rental car by mistake.
Oh, did I? Oh, shit.
But I didn't want to.
Why? Why did I have apothecary bottles in the rental car? Was it for my night nuts? What happened? I have no memory of this.
Night nuts. Okay, so our pal Jess, who does the newsletter, came to the show, the Boston show, with her friend Molly, and Molly brought us little gifts, and Molly has an apothecary and brought you 2 pretty little like glass bottles, and then I found them in the back seat along with the Happy Meal toys that Eva and I gave you. So
why would I have left those? I must have thought I was getting back in the car.
I kept them for you, and I kept the letter that came with it.
Okay, good.
So it's all here for you, but I'm just letting you know that they're here in safekeeping. But also, I think that speaking of apothecary, I do kind of have my own apothecary here. I have some Excedrin, so I think
it's
I'm
all
going
of
to
your
take
vape pens. What?
All my vape pens and my Excedrin.
Well, Christine, look, these are all my like empty bottles that I need to use.
Those are gorgeous.
I know, I love them, and so there's like. I have to figure out what to do with all them.
It's the colored glass that really does it for me.
You have no idea, Christine. I've been collecting the colored glass. And this yellow one, by the way, was like from Michael's or something. It was like just in a craft shop, like in the craft section, it was like a quarter. And
remember when we went to Michael's at one time and bought a bunch of crap for my house, and it was Halloween season, and I was pregnant, and we bought all those like tests and tubes and whatever, and so at Halloween I always fill them, and then I put a couple drops of food coloring, and I make like different, for Halloween decorations, I fill all the vials with different colored water. Genius. I feel like you could do that with the bottles that you don't have anything in, to make them just kind of like.
I have a suggestion for you with those.
Tell me.
I think you should start putting your candies you just got out of your bags in different vials, and so you can make your own little potions of your favorite candy concoctions.
Stop.
I can't.
Right there.
I can't.
The name of all that is holy.
I'm just saying, like, what if you put like little mini M&Ms in one, some Skittles in the other, and then you just made a bowl for yourself for movie night? A little. You're snackies.
Really. I mean, think about it. Think about you get a big bowl of popcorn, then you're like, which toppings do I want?
Christine.
Oh, the possibilities are endless.
Oh, wow.
Why did Eva take up all our time to talk about bullshit logistics when we could have been having this conversation
an hour ago? Happy hour. This
is the real where the magic happens.
Eva, I would like our professional meetings to sound more like this, if you can do something about that.
The other bad part is that Eva's internet is out, so she went to the podcast department. Internet was out there too. So she's somewhere at a Starbucks just so we can do this.
Down the street. Like, I feel like I feel like she's Oliver Twist, and I could like let her into my home, and she's just not here. Oh, okay.
No. Stay there. Poor Eva.
Oh, poor Eva. She's probably already ditched us. She's like, well, I told them what I needed to say, and now I'm going home. Okay. Well, let's get into this.
Now what?
There's nothing left but to work, Christine, unfortunately. So, but I think you're going to have a real good time with this one.
I can't wait.
This is Blaze's favorite word, lore. And
lore. Okay.
This is, I guess, a 101 on doppelgangers. Oh,
I'm so excited.
I thought you froze for a second.
I did, but just in space and time.
Just chemically. Okay, so this I really wanted it to be like a little creepier on. So I want it to be a little creepier. So there are stories, a very, very few. I don't want people to think this is like going to turn to a whole listeners episode afterwards, but there's some little like snippets of people with doppelgangers.
I feel like this is one of those topics that's like like you need the anecdotes to like round out the story.
Well, I am glad you said that because but at the same time, I don't know. Let's just get into it and see what we get. This is more informational at first, so people know like what a doppelganger is. So it's German. Did you know that, the word?
Of course. Yep.
Do you know what it means?
Yeah, it means like I'm trying to think of the best translation. Doppel is like zwei, like zwei is German. Double is two, or like
double.
God, my English.
I mean,
doppel is double or two, and Gänger is just someone who goes or walks.
Yeah, so it's German for double goer.
Yeah. It just doesn't have the right ring, same ring, I guess, which is why we stuck with the German.
I was gonna say, thanks for translating your German into more German.
Yeah, that was so like not helpful. I'm like, doppel like, means zwei. You're like, what the fuck? Those are both not English words. Anyway,
like, that's the most hoity-toity thing you've ever done.
No, it's just stupid, not hoity-toity.
So yeah, it's German for double goer, and in 1787 there was a provincial glossary that defined a doppelganger as an apparition of a person living.
Oh. Whoa. Oh, I like that, actually.
Yeah, maybe that has the ding you wanted.
That's kind of the better way to describe it.
So, and it's in English too.
That is a win for sure.
So the basic concept of a doppelganger is it's your exact lookalike, but it is not some random human who happens to look similarly to you. It is a non-human entity.
Ooh.
Yuck. The modern ideal of like your evil twin, because a lot of people kind of associate doppelgangers with evil. But they aren't usually malicious. Most stories they appear and then they're gone.
Yeah.
The idea is pretty old for a doppelganger. I mean, it's been around at least since the 1787 provincial glossary. But the name itself was coined in 1796. Like officially the word doppelganger. And it was coined by a German author named Jean Paul, which is a French name. Interesting.
How intriguing.
So the name was then popularized by a famous spiritualist who I would like to cover eventually. Her name is Catherine Ann Crowe. And after I started talking about doppelgangers, it kind of took off. There are some other names for doppelgangers. There's double walker, shadow self, second self.
Ooh, shadow self is good.
Isn't that spooky?
Yeah, it is.
So the second self, or the additional self, or whatever phrase you're more familiar with, that's its own like ancient concept at this point. The second self in a lot of cultures and beliefs comes from the thought that we have a physical body and a spiritual body.
Okay.
And the spiritual body is your second self. Sometimes the spiritual body is called the subtle body. Apparently that's more commonly used in like Eastern practices. And then in Western practices, they'll call it the celestial body or the astral body. I've also heard radiant body. There's body of life. It's a body. Obviously. And this second body is said to be able to travel away from our physical selves, often while being invisible. Which we have talked about astral travel quite a lot on this show. But like I said, a lot of times it's this second self is invisible. So when it detaches from you and travels around, nobody knows that it's happening.
Oh.
And this is actually a process. So physical body, spiritual, or self, second self. When the second self leaves, it's often invisible. But when it is visible, apparently there's times where people see your astral body and not your physical body by accident. And it could look like a doppelganger of sorts.
I like that it's by accident. Oops.
I imagine, right? I don't, unless you're like really trying for people to, I don't know. I don't know how that happens. But apparently it's called bilocation.
Ooh.
When you can be visibly seen in two places at the same time.
Okay, I love that idea. Bilocation. That's cool.
So when you're astral projecting in your sleep, I'm going to need you to really try extra hard for me to be able to see you so we can see if bilocation is what's going on.
Why don't you just see me by accident? That'll be easier for both of us.
I know.
Then I don't have to try so hard.
So, fun fact, Pythagoras of the theorem, he allegedly could bilocate, and he would go to, and this is what's weird to me. I don't know too much about bilocation. I thought I was going to end up in like a backroom situation and my head was going to explode from science. But apparently this, you can intentionally split off and be seen in two different spaces. And that is what Pythagoras allegedly could do. They say he could bilocate and be seen in different cities hanging out with two different groups of people at the same time.
Oh my God. So he was just like living it up. It wasn't just like, oh, he would appear. It's like he's actually living.
He's like being intentional with this and like
he's like Zach and Codying all over the place.
He's reclaiming his time. Yes.
Good for him.
And also, like, how on earth is that math theory the thing that he's known for? If he could do this,
I'm saying, like, hello, they're burying the lead.
He could literally carbon copy himself, but
it's like no big deal. Whatever.
So, these concepts, however, of bilocation, the astral body, all this, they all refer to two versions of you being in two places at once, like your actual self. But a doppelganger is not a second you. It is another entity mimicking you.
I see what you're saying. Okay. So these are different concepts. Okay.
So, doppelgangers are not actually you. You cannot control them. You cannot decide where they're going, what they're doing, what their plans are. All at the same time, they are perfectly mimicking you and can fool just about anyone because they look, sound, move, smell, act just like you in every way, all the way down to your laugh, all the way down to, I don't know, insert very small
the hair
mundane
on your chinny
thing.
chin.
Yeah, if you've got one little whisker you're maybe insecure about. Oh,
I do. It's called my scar hair.
Oh,
it grows out of my scar.
Oh,
and every
that
now and then,
sense.
Blaze will say, "Your scar hair's back," and I'm like, "Damn it!" I have to go pluck it.
My mom is gonna kill me for this, and I think she's screaming no from her car.
She
feels
knows
what I'm gonna say.
She's gonna appear behind you as a doppelganger and be like, "I swear to God."
She's got a little neck hair. And she didn't know about it. I unfortunately told her about it as like a teenager. And so now one of our favorite pastimes is when I'm in town, I pluck it for her. So
that's so thoughtful. So it's just the one?
Yes.
Because mine's just one too. It's so weird and it gets really long.
I think everyone's got at least one and it makes no fucking sense. It's another thing that makes you think bodies are crazy. Because
bodies are crazy. I'm like, I pull this sucker out. I got this scar when I was 3 years old, and it's for my whole life, I'm plucking this thing out.
Evo just volunteered information and said that she also has a chin hair, and her girlfriend plucks it for her. So I think we've all got this.
See, this is what I'm saying about we know a lot about them and their relationship.
Yeah.
But like, just, not because we pry. It just kind of comes to us.
Like Eva just kind of says it, and then
volunteers.
Now she's dating someone who also just says it.
I'm not complaining. I love to get this intel, and I need to know I'm not the only one with the scar hair.
I love the info. No, I've got I've got coarse, weird hairs like that just sprout nowhere. You know what's so weird? I have two hairs. I have one right here. It's like where what's the behind your bicep?
I don't fucking know. Tricep?
Okay. Sure. One right there. And then I've got one behind my like earlobe where hair does not grow. Like hair.
Weird.
Like, but both of them are the finest, blondest hairs that are never there. And then are like, I'm not kidding, like 3 inches long. Like,
and if you don't
massive.
know this about M has very dark hair. This is like a strange.
It's like, and it's like platinum white. It happens one on my arm and
What
one
a
behind my
phenomenon.
earlobe. And I didn't ever know about the ear one until I was dating Allison. All of a sudden, I like went to go like scratch my ear, and I could feel something tugging. And I was like, Allison, you have to get it. And now, like, one of our favorite pastimes is her looking for my ear hair.
I mean, I swear to God, it's like all 3 of us and our partners are just looking for our hair, our individual hairs. Like Blaze is like, the scar hair's back. You know, it's clearly.
I'm not a hair person. I'm a blackhead person. And or any zit, Allison is in danger. Every time that she's got like a breakout, I'm like,
oh no,
let me at it. Oh my God, there's nothing I love more than like them popping them. I'm so I can't. I just love it so much.
Let's change the subject. Why did this even come up? Oh, because I said all the hair on your chinny chin chin. There's literally no other reason than that.
But great point. If any of us were having a breakout or have a scar hair or something, our doppelganger would have that too.
They should. And if you check and they don't, then that's probably not me.
Yeah, if you ever meet me and I have flawless skin and my ears are not hairy, then
something's very wrong here.
Something's awry. Okay, so it's also said that if you run into your doppelganger, that is not good. Which I've heard that before, where like if you see yourself, then it's an omen. I've heard that like they're there to hurt you, or only one of you can be in the space at one time, or else like something terrible happens. So it's very quickly gone into like a dark place where doppelgangers like imply evil. In the UK and Ireland, they have a similar entity to a doppelganger called the fetch. And so if a doppelganger appears when you're about to get hurt, or appears, it implies that you will be hurt soon in some sort of omen way. A fetch specifically is a doppelganger that appears before someone dies.
Oh no.
So it's almost like
an omen.
An omen, and like a black dog as an escort to hell or something.
It's like, hi, it's me. It's you. I'm you, and I'm bringing you straight to hell. Okay, that fits.
What's the Taylor song? It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
And so are you, because you're me and I'm you.
And so the fetch will show up before someone dies. I also talked about that when we covered the banshee. But the difference between the banshee and the fetch is that a banshee is said to do this, but not as a doppelganger. So like a banshee was like a very beautiful woman a lot of times, or just a random wailing human that would show up. But a fetch looks like you, and it's going about your average usual day. So honestly, no one even knows. It's such a weird, like, this is an omen, but half the people that
it's like catch-22, or I don't know the right word, but yeah, exactly. It's like, how do you even determine that? Yeah, that's very trippy.
Yeah, it's like, thanks for the warning, but also I didn't know. That warning sucked. Send a better one next time. At least a banshee is a great warning. It's a beautiful woman who is just screaming bloody murder.
Just fucking screaming.
Like,
you know?
she gets your attention. But,
and you're like, oh, nothing good is happening now. I get it.
But if I were recording with your fetch and they were talking about your scar hair, I'd be like, okay, and be completely unaware that this was a warning.
What scar hair? I don't have a scar hair.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on.
It worked. If you're lucky, by the way, the fetch might appear for a near-death experience instead of.
If you're lucky, cool.
Well, if you're lucky, usually it arrives to warn you that you're going to die, but sometimes they appear to say like, "Oh, you're almost gonna die, but you'll make it.
But don't worry about it."
So it's like very unhinged because it's letting you know something really fucking scary is going to happen to you. And best case scenario, you almost die.
I just feel like I don't want to know, you know? Like if it's going to happen no matter what, it just like, why just live with that anxiety? I don't know. I don't know where I stand on this, but
it's another catch-22 because like as someone who lives with constant dread and anxiety, it's like I'm already there. How much worse could it be? But like,
right, and like, will it give me any sense of control? Maybe, but is it worth it? I don't know.
It's also one of those things of like Final Destination and evading fate. It's like, well, if I get hit by a car, then what if I just don't leave the house? But then like a car could come running through the wall, you know, like, you know, it's I have no idea. Like it's becoming sad happy hour. Hang on.
Oh shit. That's only
dark.
For Monday at 5:00.
So the fetch is your doppelganger, but will show up to, I guess, warn somebody, maybe itself, that you're about to go through something.
Okay.
There's a story from Ireland that this guy saw his brother's fetch and didn't know it was a fetch. Just thought it was his brother walking up to him in a field. He said hey to his brother, but the brother said nothing and vanished before his very eyes. And later, the guy found out that his brother was actually thousands of miles away. And I guess he must have evaded death because he lived for another 25 years.
Okay, well, that's a good sign, but that's so interesting. That sounds almost like astral projection, where you kind of go to a loved one.
Like, were you thinking about each other or something?
Yeah, weird.
Also, like, imagine just Zandy just walking up to you, but thousands of miles away, though.
He sleepwalks, so I can imagine it, and it's horrific, because he walks up to me and, like, his eyes are just totally red and glazed over, and you'll be like, hello, what are you doing? And he, like, won't answer. He'll just stare at you. So I do feel like I live with this pretty regularly anyway.
What if he's never sleptwalked and it was always his fetch?
Oh. I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry.
No, that was the right button.
Okay, fair. Maybe fate led my finger to that button.
There's also a poet named Dora Sigerson Shorter who wrote a poem about a fetch where a man was waiting outside for his girlfriend, but she ended up being late, and when she got there, she said like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I was behind a funeral procession, and it was for this young woman, and it was really weird. They started digging a grave for her at a crossroads."
Oh.
And so she got freaked out and she took off. And the guy thought, I guess she has been late many times, and he felt disrespected because he breaks up with her. And
dick.
And
sorry, I was stuck behind a fucking funeral. But okay.
Heartbroken, the woman throws herself into a lake and drowns. All night long, though, the guy hears his girlfriend crying, and so he eventually goes out to try to find her, but he gets stuck behind a funeral procession.
Oh.
And because it ended up being his girlfriend's, which, like, by the way, the turnaround on a funeral is crazy.
Yeah, I'm sorry to laugh, but like, wow, they were on it.
It's like he went to bed, there was a funeral.
Oops. Also, he wasn't invited. That's pretty rude.
Right. So in this story, he gets behind a funeral procession, and it ends up being his girlfriend's. And because she drowned herself and she took her own life, she was going to be buried under the crossroads.
Oh my God, I get it.
So over time, the fetch has kind of evolved into, you know, stories like that where you're almost able to see a situation, not even a person,
right,
happening before you, where you see your own fucking funeral going by.
Horrifying.
There are also stories of the fetch appearing to people, like bruised, battered, burned, like looking in incredible pain, essentially foretelling how the person will soon die. So,
oh no! I don't want to know.
So you could show up all bloodied, and it's like a warning of how it's going to happen. One thing I thought was kind of interesting is the fetch has also evolved in folklore over time to be more of like a familiar to a witch, like a little animal. But they're known to, I think this is right. My understanding is that familiars are shapeshifters sometimes. And so the fetch has become a familiar for witches that can disguise itself as the witch.
Oh, I see.
And basically be the witch's doppelganger.
Okay.
And the version I saw, the source I saw was that so like the witch never has to leave their house to go run errands. They can just make a familiar
now,
do
see,
it.
you know, I fucking love that. Like, because my first thought, and I didn't want to say it because I'm like, this is going to sound so stupid, but I was like, my first thought was, man, it would be nice to have somebody to just like go run my errands for me and stuff, you know?
It would be lovely. And hey, witches found a way to do it. So
what a dream.
Get yourself a doppelganger, make one if you have to.
Man, I might.
In Scotland, there's another similar being to the doppelganger called the co-walker.
Oh, that's a good name too, co-walker.
It's apparently a fairy being who shows up kind of whenever, like doesn't really have a rhyme or reason. It's not to warn you of death, has no connection to death. It's just a doppelganger that
is
appears.
Bored. Okay.
Yeah. So this co-walker will participate in everyday activity. You might think that you just saw Blaze walk by brushing his teeth, but it was a co-walker who just wanted to, I guess, have the experience.
I hope that's worth it, because it's not really an exciting thing to do, but whatever.
It's truly like even the most mundane things, people will see a co-walker.
I was gonna say that is almost freakier though. Like
it's
why?
The uncanny valley or something of like,
yeah,
like it feels creepier that there's no intention or no
meaning or bigger purpose. Yeah.
Also, when something mysterious or creepy or misunderstood appears, you're prepared to be on edge.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you just watch it brushing its teeth, I mean, if you were watching Jeffrey Dahmer brush his teeth or murder somebody, brushing his teeth is almost disturbing in its own way.
Yes, it's like it has a what's the word? A sinister quality to it for some reason.
And what's weird is, I think what's weird about that is it feels sinister because it feels more human. And it's like,
oh yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point.
It doesn't feel like an us versus them. It's like, ew, you're
just copying us.
Yeah. So anyway, quickly, the co-walker will just do mundane things, and people, I guess there's some people out there who have a gift where they can actually see fairies. And if you have this gift, you can also see co-walkers. So I guess that means a lot of people don't see co-walkers. It's people just looking like you, doing things like you, mimicking you, without even wanting to be seen doing it.
So that's an interesting concept. Like, how do you even...
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe one theory is that anyone can see them, and one theory is only if you can see fairies, you can see them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But apparently people who have seen them have seen people that they thought were at a party with them, or having, they were literally a pallbearer at a funeral, and apparently they were just co-walkers. And my question to that, not to get like all like either existential or like space and time, but if you think you're seeing somebody at a party who was expected to be there, where's the actual person? Like,
yeah, that's a great point. Like,
are they swapping realms?
Did they cease to exist for a minute? Like, are they at home?
Are they both at the party, but one's like getting punched and the other is on the dance
avoiding
floor?
Each other like a sitcom? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
That's a great question.
But this is kind of the creepier thing to me, is like, how do these co-walkers select the person they're going to mimic? And apparently they will just pick somebody and then attach to them.
No.
And throughout the rest of your life, they will randomly show up and mimic you. So it's never a one and done. It seems like, 5 years later, people will still think they saw you walking down the street downtown, but you were sleeping. So
I don't like that.
Very creepy. I don't like that at all. There's a 17th century folklorist named Robert Kirk who said, "It accompanies that person so long and frequently, whether to guard him from the secret assaults of some of its own folks, or only as a sportful mimicry to counterfeit all of his actions." So basically, one theory is that they will select you because they're protecting you from other fairy folk.
Okay.
And to disguise themselves as you is almost a distraction, or to veer them away from you.
Okay, I mean, I guess I'll take that.
So far, it's the only theory where like they're doing it out of like love and protection, and
but I'm sort of like,
safe.
What are there strings attached? Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
Why? You know what I mean? Like, why me?
Yeah. Also, why do some fairies want to
Yeah.
get me?
What did I do?
And also, if they want to get me, did I do something wrong and do I deserve it? So is the person defending me like also an outlaw? You know,
Great question. Are we both now in trouble? Oh my gosh, so many questions.
The other theory is, it's not here to protect you. It's just being an asshole and causing a ruckus.
I'm almost more happy with that theory. It seems like a less dangerous. Like, you know what? You can fuck around if you want. I don't want a whole fairy folk after me, but you know, if you want to just run around downtown, go for it.
Yeah. If you want to buy me things and bring it home, that's fine.
I guess if you want to do my groceries and brush my teeth, fine.
Here's the even weirder part, though. Sometimes these co-walkers are still attached to you after death, and people have reported seeing their dead loved ones still walking around because the co-walker is still existing as them years after they've died.
Fair.
That's wild. And like, I wonder, like, I sometimes wonder what's lore and what's that. Like, if someone truly thinks that they saw their dead loved one and they live in a space or a culture where the answer to that is fairies, I wonder in like another culture that is like, oh, psychologically you're having a flashback or something. Like I wonder.
Oh, interesting point.
Like I wonder where the overlap is. But still,
or like if it's an apparition of your ghost versus like a doppelganger who's mimicking you. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like usually if you see someone who's dead, you're like, oh, it's their ghost. But like,
oh, trippy.
Intripping. Okay, Christine.
It sure is, Christine.
It sure is.
So, just a few like similar beings or similar doppelgangers. There's in Finland, there's a similar elf-like being called the Haltia, but this is known to be a guardian spirit, so we'll be like that.
That's good.
One type of Haltia is they're also called first comers because they show up first. Mm-hmm. These first comers in the Haltia realm are called the Etiäinen, and they mimic people just like a doppelganger. And these entities know what you'll be doing at every moment and beat you to the punch, doing everything slightly before you.
For what? That sounds like your annoying sibling being like copying everything you say.
They are, and I think this one is more like of an astral realm, because I don't know if people are actually seeing these creatures, but it seems more like a symbolic thing, because what I'm gauging from it and my understanding is that these beings are the reason that you have like gut feelings and deja vu, because you're sensing something that already lived out as you.
That's actually really cool. So it's like going ahead to like, it's not just to like mock you, which was my immediate thought, but to like
because remember these are guardian spirits,
right?
So they're almost like going out ahead of you.
Okay, that's really interesting. I kind of like that. I'm back on board,
and I kind of like that it gives a very warm reason for deja vu of like, oh, your guardian spirit is has already gone out onto the path and has made sure everything's good for you, and you can feel safe.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, okay, I take it back. Sorry.
Your deja vu doppelganger is like, fuck you.
Yeah, I was like, well, there goes my chance.
So I think that's very interesting. And then in Norway, there's another being kind of like that travels ahead of you called the Vardaget. And I assume it does similar things. There's another one called the Philly Jaw, but they appear to your friends instead of you. So instead of you having deja vu, it's like if you had a dream about me or you just thought of me and then all of a sudden I call you in real life. It's instead of it being a guardian spirit that is making sure everything's clear for you and thus you have deja vu, the Philly Jaw is almost like giving friends a little announcement that I'm about to appear in your life.
Oh, I kind of like that too. Like, knock, knock.
It's like everyone's got like, not a jester, but the hear ye person, you know?
Yes, with the little trumpet.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So if you ever have a dream of me and then all of a sudden you see me the next day or something, it's something you didn't expect and all of a sudden I pop up. That is
help me.
That's my Philly jaw.
Your Philly jaw
you.
better fucking warn me, because I need some ample warning before you just appear at. Like, if I'm seeing you out of surprise, like usually I see you because we know we're gonna see each other. Yeah, I need a warning for that.
I feel like instead of a trumpet, I need like the SpongeBob alarm clock foghorn, you know?
You need this. I'll be like, oh, M's coming. God damn it.
I wonder if you have a dream of me and I have a dream of you, and neither of us know we're about to see each other like at the supermarket. Are our Philly jaw also friends? Like,
maybe they're hanging out.
Are they like just kind of getting coffee together before like the real deal storms in and they're like, ugh, you know?
Yeah, they're like, oh God, here they go again.
So, yeah, basically if you dream or think of somebody, it means that it means you sensed their Philly jaw arriving ahead of them.
I kind of love that. Yeah, that's fun.
They all kind of clump together. My understanding is like they all fall into they appear before you actually get there.
Right.
So that is the Haltia, the Vardaget, the Etiainen, and the Philly jaw. And people have actually heard of Vardaget turning on showers, or they could hear footsteps of a person. And this is interesting because it makes me think, just like how we were saying, oh, is it a doppelganger, or is it like psychologically something, or is it a ghost, or is it deja vu?
Right.
In this area, a Vardaget sounds similar to like a haunting, because a Vardaget will turn on showers, they'll turn on the stove, you'll hear footsteps of the person you know walking around, but then you'll realize you're the only person at home.
Okay, that's interesting.
So a Vardaget, and by the way, it doesn't mean they actually like turn on the shower or turn on the stove, but the sounds of...
Oh, you just hear it. Like
the sounds of the person that you live with or you know of are surrounding you. And so, again, psychologically, I wonder if that's just like muscle memory of like you're used to hearing Blaze walking around upstairs.
Right,
you know?
like you hear... Right, and I feel like
so
that's
your brain plays tricks on you.
Yeah, isn't that a common thing in, I think, was it Ireland, where there's like it's probably the same concept, maybe you even said it already, but like a doppelganger sort of, who arrives home before you, and like you hear them open the door, toss their bag to the side, take off their shoes, go up the stairs, and then you're like, where are you? Yeah, and then you look out and they're pulling up into the driveway. I feel like I think it's in Ireland, that's a really common
very
thing.
Similar to all these other ones.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
You're sensing... Their little trumpet man has warned you that they're on their way.
Has thrown its keys so you know they're coming. That's really nice.
There's one example of this is there's a story of a guy named Jacob who was at home with his parents, and they hear Jacob's like carpentry tools being used. And basically the whole family knew that, oh, well, we're all here. We're not using the tools. Sounds like the tools are going to be used shortly in the future. And our doppelgangers are warning us of that. I would have thought someone's broken into the garage.
Yeah. It's like, that's a very calm way to look at it, I suppose.
I like that all three of them are like, oh, the little trumpet man for the tools is letting me know that the tools will be used soon.
How thoughtful of him.
Well, so
he's
the
just
next
using
morning,
a chainsaw in the garage. It's fine.
Yeah,
he's just saying hi.
What a good point. Like, how annoying are carpentry tools when you're not using them?
And also, like dangerous. Like, who's running the chainsaw, and do they know how to use it? Have they had the proper training?
Yeah, does OSHA know that? Like, is there a doppelganger OSHA? There's nothing more annoying to me than the sound of hammering when I'm not the one hammering.
Correct.
So imagine you're at home and at 3 a.m. you hear...
You are absolutely correct. I would be beside myself irritated.
So anyway, the next morning, though, the neighbor comes over and asks Jacob if he can use his tools. So he needed them, by the way, to make a coffin for his son that died that night. Again, the turnaround is crazy. This isn't... I don't know if this is a real story, by the way. I'm pretty sure this is like an urban legend. So... but he says, I need to make a coffin, and my son died last night, and it theoretically happened at the same time that Jacob and his family heard the tools.
Well, you know, that's interesting, because I feel like that brings it back to the omen almost. Like, it's not just like, oh, he needs his tools. It's like for a death that occurred. Like, it's almost, ooh.
That's interesting, because I wonder, oh man, hang on, my brain's about to explode, because I feel like, yeah, it's almost a death omen of what's to come but at the same time, it's
a degree removed almost. Like
it's like the tools showed up. Like the little trumpet man for the tools said, this is going to happen. But then like there was actually a darkness to it that said, death is coming.
Yeah.
Like so is the trumpet man good or bad at this point? I'm confused.
I don't know.
Maybe there's a bad trumpet man?
Maybe chaotic neutral? I'm not sure.
Does the trumpet man have a trumpet man?
Oh, God. Now we're really getting in it. Your head.
Is it just on Earth, or like do aliens have trumpet men?
This is that why we is not powerful enough for this conversation. I'm sorry. I just have to say it.
Fair enough. So anyway, in some cultures, as you were saying earlier, a doppelganger can also is also the concept of your shadow.
Ooh.
So your shadow is a doppelganger, which it is a perfect image of you. It's just
guess
the
so,
outline. And because it is in theory a doppelganger or a second self, you should respect it as such. So in
Does
Germany,
anyone not respect it? Oh, okay. I'm about to find out.
In Germany, there are some who say when using a lantern, if you look at your shadow and it is headless, or if your shadow is not there at all, if it's distorted in some way, it means you will die within a year because your second self is already detaching from you.
It means step to the left until you are no longer being blocked by this windowsill so you can see your head again, is what I'm going to take from that, because that's horrible. That's horrible. What do you mean your head is gone, so you're going to die in a year? Also, a year is a long time. Like, if you're like, oh, within 24 hours, at least for that 24 hours, I can be anxious. And once it's passed, I'm like, okay. A year of like sitting on pins and needles, hoping you're not going to die?
And what if it's exactly to the minute a year? So for 365 days and 23
like,
hours and 59 minutes.
Done. Oh,
yeah.
No.
Oh my God. Anyway, so shout out to Germany. Also,
yeah, classic.
They've even said also respect your shadow by never stepping on it because you're damaging it in some way.
That's impossible.
I know. Well, I don't know.
Isn't it attached to your feet?
It is. Your toes are always kissing. Those little piggies are getting into each other.
Ew,
you know what I'm saying? They're snuggling.
Veto.
So, don't step on your shadow. Because one of the theories is you and your doppelganger can't either be in a room together or they can't harm each other. And so if you're stepping on your shadow, you're harming your second self, and it's an omen for you.
Okay.
In other cultures, there are like natural objects like stones that can, spirits are known to connect with, which we have obviously discussed that in full detail in our friendship of stones and crystals and all that being attached spiritually. So there's a theory that if your shadow ever passes over one of these natural objects that a spirit is attached to, the spirit can jump from the natural stone into your shadow and possess you.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think that's super cool. But also, if you ever touch anything, eventually your shadow goes over it, right? Like,
yes.
So no matter what, if you're touching it, your shadow is already. So I guess that kind of makes sense though, because we have said if you touch a crystal, it's you're letting the energy absorb through you.
Right. That's a great point. So it's like that's just a more direct way of your shadow coming in contact with it.
Yeah. So I guess if a crystal has any like dark energy, maybe I hope also good energy, but if it has any dark energy attached to it, it can cross into you through your shadow because it's going through your astral body first and then into you.
Right.
Allegedly, allegedly one of the worst things that can happen to your shadow self or your doppelganger is for it to be harmed, and that can mean much worse for you because if your second self is in danger, your primary self is for sure in danger.
Oh no.
So here's one quick anecdote that Catherine the Great apparently woke up one night to her servants freaking out because they just saw her sitting at her throne, but it was actually a doppelganger.
Uh-oh.
Threatened by this, Catherine the Great ordered them to kill whoever was sitting in her throne, aka she threatened them or told them to kill her own doppelganger.
Oh no, girl.
Essentially ordering her own execution, and shortly after she died of a stroke once her doppelganger had also been killed.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And although some say seeing your doppelganger could be dangerous or deadly, German folklore, they give us a pass, and they say it's only deadly once you've seen your doppelganger 3 times.
Oh, good.
So, thanks, Germans.
Thank you.
Fun fact, Abraham Lincoln claimed that he saw his doppelganger 3 times after his first election.
No.
One was
3 times?
He saw himself in the mirror, or when he looked in the mirror, he saw 2 of him.
Ugh.
One of them looked pale and ghostly.
Oh, no.
And he one of his quotes about this was, "I was a little bothered, but the illusion vanished." Which, like,
boy,
like, a little bothered. I would literally never sleep again. But okay.
I would be screwed.
He apparently saw it once, this doppelganger, a little cloudy. Then he saw it a second time, and the doppelganger was clearer, which is even scarier because I feel like that means a prophecy is being
Agreed.
fulfilled.
It's
and
like growing in power or something.
Yeah. And then the third time he saw it, his wife was even freaked out. Remember, his wife was like really into spiritualism.
Yeah.
And she interpreted this as he's going to serve 2 terms as president, but he won't survive the second time, which is correct.
Wow, she really took that and ran with it.
She really said,
"This is
my specific vision," and it was still right.
That's terrible.
Also, fun fact, the husband of Mary Shelley, the writer of Frankenstein, Percy Shelley, he also saw his doppelganger multiple times just before his death.
Oh, no.
And the first time he saw it, apparently it looked him in the eyes and asked him, "How long do you mean to be content?"
How dare you?
Yeah, which, like, what's it to you, guy?
First of all, what do you even mean? Second of all, how dare you?
How long do you mean to be content? Does that mean, like, how long do you plan on being happy, or how long do you plan on being here?
Yeah, I guess, right? Like,
also,
how
they talk to you? I thought, like, in my mind,
is it
a
your
doppelganger.
voice?
Yeah. Oh, I hope so. I don't. Or do I? I feel like.
Do I? I don't know.
You know how, like, you hate the sound of your own voice on a recording?
Yes.
Imagine having to look yourself in the eyes and hear that voice. Ugh.
Absolutely. I'd be like, "What's wrong with your face?" And he'd be like, "This is literally what you look like." And I'd go, "Oh, no."
I'd be like, "You didn't get that one whisker on your chin."
Nice try.
And they'd be like, "You either. That's why I have this." So anyway, the first time he saw it, it asked him that very eerie question. The next time he saw his doppelganger was when he went into his own bedroom and saw himself standing over the bed, strangling his wife in her sleep.
What?
And then he died shortly after.
That's so weird that it was hurting someone else, but then it was an omen of his own death. That's so weird.
Yeah, it's like, are both of you in danger? Can a doppelganger for somebody else be there to hurt you?
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Because you would think if it's connected enough to you that it looks identical to you and sounds like you, then it cares a lot more about you. Or I wonder, I don't know, maybe that's the beginning of a really good, like, true crime mystery, like, psychological
sci-fi thing.
Because it feels like a second version of you comes down and says, "How long do you mean to be happy?" Right. And then the next time you see him, he's killing your wife. Like, were you having a breakdown? Like, a mental breakdown?
And what if she wakes up and you're like, "It wasn't me," but, like, you know.
And that also freaks me out. Like, what if she was having a bad dream and felt like she was being choked and had no idea it was, like, her husband's spiritual doppelganger? Oy. There's so many.
I like that.
Anyone who's stoned right now is really fried out of their mind.
Seriously, because I was gonna ask, was he on drugs? I'm not even joking. Like, it sounds like something. I don't know.
It feels like something like when you're having a nervous breakdown, maybe you could see something happening before you. Maybe he thought, like, an out of body experience. Like, maybe he was choking.
Maybe
her.
He was dissociating. You know what I mean? Like a psychotic break. I don't know.
Another cool doppelganger story is this one guy named Johann Wolfgang von Goethe.
Goethe.
Goethe?
Yeah,
Goethe?
You don't know Goethe?
Mm-mm.
He's a very famous old-timey author.
Yes. Yeah, it does say author. I think I forgot to say that. Well, he's had a doppelganger experience where he was riding his horse down his road toward town, and he saw himself coming up the road, and they were going to pass each other, and apparently he saw himself dressed in a gray suit with gold trim, looked very dapper. And then that was kind of the end of the first half of that experience. But 8 years later, he's riding home from town, and he sees someone, gets about to cross him or cross his path. And he realizes when he looks down that he's wearing that gray suit with gold trim.
I love those stories.
And he realizes he saw his future self.
Ooh, it's so spooky.
I truly can't think of anything creepier than that Reddit story of the guy eating a sandwich in the kitchen. And one day, years later, he sees the other half of that perspective.
So it's I know I'm always telling this, but it's
I wanted you to.
The first time I heard it was on Jim Harold's Campfire, so I'm not sure if the original person told it on Jim Harold's Campfire or if they just took the Reddit story, if it's the same person, I'm not sure. But the person on Jim Harold described being a little kid and running through his childhood home and seeing a man in a hoodie at the counter of his kitchen, and he ran back and looked in, and the guy was gone. And so he kind of never thought anything of it. And then decades later, he's back visiting his family's house, and he's making a sandwich in the kitchen, and he sees something out of the corner of his eye, and he turns and he sees a little kid run past, and they make eye contact, and it turns out he realizes decades later he was seeing himself and vice versa. What?
And I don't know the episode. If anybody who's listening to this knows the number, please DM me or something, because I want to hear myself tell the story again. But there's that one haunted house where the guy was living there, and he would have there would be moments where all of a sudden he could see into the past, he could see the house's past.
Yes, in the dining room or whatever.
Yeah, he saw a whole family having dinner, and they looked back at him, and then they realized that him. They realized he was part of the future, and he knew he was looking at the past. Something.
Oh my God!
The house completely changed when he looked in that room, and then he blinked, and it looked like his house again, or something.
Whoa.
So if anybody knows what episode that was, I want to know what that location was.
It was a story of a house. Yeah, I feel like someone will know, because I thought that was a really, really cool story.
I remember that one was one of the if we ever had a best of 10 episode blah 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 goose cams, I would say that one for sure fucked me up. That was so creepy.
I love that. Let's make somebody else find it for us.
I don't know what it is. There's another story that in 1845, this is one of the most famous doppelganger cases. It's the story of Emily Sage. I think it's French, and she was a teacher at a girls' school, and she was writing on the board, and all of a sudden saw her doppelganger standing next to her, and who didn't have chalk or anything to write on the board, but was mimicking her movement to a T of writing while she was writing, and was just writing in the air next to her. Okay. What's interesting about this is what makes it the most famous doppelganger case, or one of them, is that 13 students in the classroom also saw the doppelganger writing in the air.
Oh, shit.
And this became the first of multiple sightings of her doppelganger around the school.
Oh, shit.
And here's a little plot twist. Emily already knew about this doppelganger because apparently this doppelganger is a regular in her life.
No. She's like, not again.
Yes. Apparently she had to admit it later to the school that every time she starts a new job, her doppelganger appears and begins showing up at her place of business.
That is horrifying and so strange.
Obviously, people freaked out, and so or people often freaked out when they'd see her doppelganger at her job, so she would lose a lot of jobs.
No.
And she'd have to change jobs a lot. So even though it was completely harmless, people just saw her doppelganger walking the grounds or drinking water or something. Even though it was harmless, in 16 years Emily had worked at almost 20 schools.
No,
because she had to keep leaving. And so
That's too bad.
One day, Emily's out in the garden at the school, and the whole school is very small, only 40 girls. But all of them could see Emily in the garden from her window. from their window in their classroom.
Right.
They're looking out, they see her. But then in their room, a second Emily appears at
She's
the
like, what are you
desk.
guys up to?
It's like, are we snooping? Are we staring at her?
That's horrifying.
The kids literally tried to approach this second Emily and touch her, but they only felt cobwebs. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, yuck.
And then she vanished.
Oh,
and
yuck.
After that, the principal had to let her go. So I guess she's going to school number 20. Because parents started taking their kids out of school because they didn't want their kids anywhere near a doppelganger. Many cultures are so worried about interacting with a doppelganger that they avoid even getting pictures taken of themselves because a picture could capture part of your soul and create a second you or a doppelganger. And then like today's modern versions, at least in the US, there's a lot of people who say if you interact with your doppelganger or run into your doppelganger, or if the two of you make eye contact, then you're going to die soon. It's very quickly been turned into a death omen. I also saw that apparently this has to be like a 7th grade boy thing. They said if you ever see your doppelganger on sight, you have to fight each other. And only the survivor gets to live as that person for the rest of time, which sounds like the exact opposite of all the other advice we've been given to like avoid any trouble with this thing.
Doesn't this sound a little bit like the Jordan Peele film?
Oh, not Get Out.
Us?
Nope. Us. Yeah. Like they're all tethered to each other.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but it's a similar concept.
Yeah. I mean, they are literal doppelgangers.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, anyway, that is
wow, oh my gosh,
the lore of a doppelganger.
You really just revived my spirits after Eva crushed them into a pulp. I'm just kidding, Eva. I feel bad. Like Eva hasn't even told us anything like bad today. I don't know why.
She literally just said, "Hi, how are you? I'm at Starbucks," and we were like,
poor Eva. No, I think this is called transference. That's not what it's called, but
we can call it that though.
Eva says she's taking one for the team. Which what else is new? So can I tell one quick doppelganger story that I heard recently that I just loved? So it was on, of course, Jim Harold's Campfire. Please go listen to it. I feel like
we love Jim Harold.
And I listen to it every single week when it comes out. And every time somebody says, when he says, so-and-so's on the line, they heard about us from Em and Christine, I lose it. Like I literally make everybody in the house listen. And I'm like, listen. And Blaze is always like, yup, it's happening again. And he's very supportive, but I'm sure it's very annoying. But it's so exciting when people are like, oh, I found out about you through, and that's why I drink. It makes my day.
It's so sweet. And and Jim Harold is our podcast inspo for.
Like, it was the first show we both listened to and like would be fangirling about, so to speak.
Totally. No, absolutely. Fangirl for sure. Even if you're non-binary or a big old alpha male bro.
We all know.
You got to fangirl every now and then.
We all fangirl every now and then,
And I totally do with Jim Harold. I'll go, I'm so excited.
That is what I do. Every time it's like Em and Christine, I'm like, he just said my name. And it's like, okay, well, we've met him. It's not like that weird, but to me, it's very exciting.
He's literally come to our live shows.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm like, he said my name. He knows who I am. So it was a few weeks ago or maybe a few months ago, there was a story. A woman called in. Oh my God, Em, it was crazy. She called in. She works at a hospital. And she says, I was taking a, what are these things called? A stretcher.
A cart? A stretcher. A gurney?
A gurney? Well, not, yeah. Is it, what is it called when you're not dead and you're on one of those?
Alive? What?
A bed.
A bed.
Okay. I don't know. Obviously, I'm very good at this, and
like a hospital bed.
Yeah, like rolling somebody from like to the X-ray room or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's still a gurney.
Okay. So anyway, she's like transferring a patient or something. She gets in the elevator and there are two, sets of elevators, and she's on one. And on the other side, she sees a person who looks exactly like her, and they make eye contact, and in the other elevator, like behind a bunch of people, and she's just staring at this person, and then the doors close, and she's like, what the hell? That was so weird. And then later on in the day, you know, she forgets about it and she's going through her business, whatever. And, you know, it's the end of the day. She gets on the elevator and she's heading back upstairs and she looks over. A bunch of people get in the elevator. She looks over and she fucking sees herself with the patient in the other elevator. And she sees herself going, like, making the face of like, wait, what? And so like she, within the same day, like saw the back and forth.
So they had the future and past thing.
Yeah, but and so she saw herself going like, wait, what the fuck? You know, like she saw that moment of like, holy shit.
Nurses deserve more naps, I think.
Oh, well, yes.
But also that is almost, I mean, it's freaky.
And I don't know if she was a nurse. I don't know what her role was at this hospital. But yes, it was. But she might have been a doctor. I'm not sure. But she was like, I saw myself across the hall. And she thought, well, maybe I'm just imagining things and it just looked like me. But then at the end of the day, she had totally forgotten and was in that other elevator and kind of glanced out and went, oh my God, that's me.
It's
so trippy.
It's a different type of existential fear that stories like that bring me. Because when it's future and past, that at least it's not like a doppelganger where it's like there's another spirit mimicking me, you know. It's like,
right,
this is just a glitch in the matrix. Because at least I know both versions of me are me, who I love and trust and know, and like I can feel safe to know that like we're both just freaked out at the experience.
That's a great point.
But it's still like okay, that's fully a glitch in the matrix. How the fuck did that happen?
How did it happen? And also, like, I feel like that just takes all element of reality away. Like, clearly we don't know how reality works.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And also in terms of like a glitch in the matrix, you would think something like that where there's a two-parter, like you see yourself once and then you see the replay of it. You would think if there's a glitch in the matrix and like God or whoever is up there, if there's a technical difficulty, you would think before the second event happens of like seeing yourself again,
fix it.
They would like fucking fix it. So like you'd be like, well, that was weird.
But I'm sure that says something about the hospital system, the healthcare system, and you know, there's a lot there.
There's a lot going on. But no, that's just so creepy. Like the fact that doppelgangers, we've covered hauntings, we've covered glitches in the matrix, there's so many things we've discussed: astral projection, dreams, deja vu. They kind of find their way in any type of way.
It seems like they almost somehow overlap in a lot of ways, which is creepy too, because it's like, wow,
it's all connected.
None of this is real. It's all connected.
Yeah.
Help. Help me.
Oy.
Okay. I guess it's my turn.
I'm very excited for your story, Christine.
Okay, good, because it is a very exciting story. Let me find it.
Oh, okay. I was like, you seem lost, Christian. But
I am most of the time. Thank you for noticing. Okay. So this is a story that I actually heard about on Box of Oddities while we're shouting out podcasts who were my pals that you got to meet in Florida.
Oh, they were so nice.
Aren't they a delight? Kat and JG. So much fun. And I finally got to meet them in person because we were supposed to meet pre-COVID and then, you know, that never happened. But so anyway, I heard about this on their show and it's called the Red Barn Murder. And it's something I'd never heard about. And it doesn't seem to have been covered on a whole lot of podcasts. So I'm kind of excited to do like a little deep dive on this.
Cool.
All right. I'm going to start off with a quote, just pack a punch here and give you a little taste for what's to come.
Ooh, I love a taste.
I'll give you a little amuse-bouche. Here we go. I never knew or heard of a case in my life which abounded with so many extraordinary incidents as the present. It really appears more like a romance than a tale of common life. And were it not that the circumstances were so well authenticated, it would appear absolutely incredible. It, however, verifies the remark of Lord Byron that truth is stranger than fiction.
Oh.
And that was Magistrate Wyatt on the death of Maria Marten and her stepmother's strange dreams.
What?
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Strange dreams?
I'm scared to hit the button because I'm worried I'm going to hit the wrong one, so I'm not going to hit it.
Which one do you want? I'll do it for you.
The do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Is that on here?
Yeah, didn't you hear me do it? I
just wanted to see if you do it again.
Hold on. Here it is.
Oh, that worked really well.
That works, right?
Yeah. That's nice.
I don't know what these other ones are. That's beautiful, Em.
Thank you.
You know what we could do?
Tell me.
We could put elevator music on a button.
We would literally, you'd have to hold it down the whole time I was peeing.
You're right. It would never stop. People are like, no, don't give them that power. Okay. So let's get into the story. It's a little bit supernatural as well. So I'm slightly creeping into your territory, but only a little bit. It's mostly a murder story.
Just dipping the toes.
Just a little tiny bit. So this takes place May 18th, 1827. A young woman named Maria Marten left home under some strange circumstances. Her family waited months for word from her, but nothing came. The story went that she had run off to be with her new husband, and she simply didn't have time to write due to all the excitement, but still, something seemed off. Maria's family, of course, wanted to believe everything was all right because Maria had unfortunately been dealt a lot of unfair hands, both in romance and just in life in general. So I'll tell you a little bit of her backstory. Maria was born in Polstead, which is a tiny farming community in Suffolk, England. And her father worked as a mole catcher, which
a mole catcher.
I waited for Em to lift the microphone up for that one.
I was like this. I was like, ooh, okay. Well, I hope that that means my attention was grabbed.
Immediate, yeah.
Her father was a mole catcher. I guess that's not for the time. Maybe it wasn't too weird, but in 2023, I don't think I've ever heard of that ever being someone's job besides like a terrier. But
besides a dermatologist, I was thinking, like a mole catcher.
Like a mole catcher. Well, I guess there used to be dog catchers, so
at least Disney said.
Mole specifically?
Yeah, because it's a farming community, and so, moles can really wreak a lot of havoc on your crops.
All right. Moles are just not my forte, I guess. I don't know.
We had moles growing up, and they really do tend to fuck up your yard.
What is a mole?
I imagine what?
What is a mole?
What is a mole? Oh,
like a groundhog?
You have so much to learn. There's a character in Germany, and he's a mole.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to read all the books. I'm trying to remember the name of the book. And he's this weird looking mole guy.
Mole.
What's his name?
A European mole?
Ew.
Oh.
Some of these are
really not good looking.
No, they're very scary.
Looks like Alf. Where are its eyes? Do they have eyes?
No, they live underground. I think they're blind.
They literally don't have eyeballs?
Well, no, they have eyes, I think, but they're I don't think they're known for their eyesight.
They certainly are not, because with my eyes, I can't see their eyes. What? They literally don't have eyes. There's literally no. That's its face.
Oh, I found the mole. Okay, his name is Der kleine Maulwurf. Okay, hold on. Der kleine Maulwurf.
This looks like a Jim Henson Muppet, but that's in storage because it never got finished.
Oh no. This is the German mole I grew up with. Hang on. Let me send you a picture. Moles were a big part of my childhood, just because
I've literally never seen a mole until right now.
Are you serious?
I wish I never had. Oh, it's the ugliest animal I've ever seen.
Oh, come on. It is not.
It beats out that gloppy fish that everyone always shows pictures of with its big lips. That mole's cute. That's a cartoon, though. It has eyes.
Okay, he's not that ugly.
No, he looks cute, the little cartoon.
I mean, the actual mole is not that ugly. Look at this one next to a flower.
Christine, look at this. What are you talking about?
He's cute.
I'm going to send you this picture because I think you're not all there to be saying what you're saying.
Just don't look up the star-nosed mole, because that isn't great for us.
Is there something worse than what I'm doing?
Yeah,
right
there
now?
is. I'll send you a picture of the star. Yeah, look up star-nosed mole.
Mole. Oh my god! Oh my God, its nose looks like a
It looks
butthole.
like the Stranger Things, like.
It's a little demogorgon. It looks like a butthole. I'm sorry.
You know what? You are such a...
It looks like a sphincter. That's...
You know what?
Eva
just texted, let's become obsessed with moles, Christine, in addition to possums. So you know what? Fuck off.
Eva can rot. That is so evil. That is so evil.
I just want the record to show that was not my idea. But I'm on board.
Megan, eventually you're going to listen to this. I know you are. You have to find the ugliest pictures of Star-Nosed Moles so that everyone's on my side.
No. Come on. Listen.
This is the grossest animal.
These poor things are being hunted.
Someone's holding it. Ew. Gross. We've really derailed already. Okay, he finds moles. Great. Okay, next.
Listen, he's a mole catcher, okay, which apparently was an important job at the time. However, it was like a very low class job. Like it was something that did not earn a lot of money. So even though it was necessary, it wasn't like a highfalutin job. So his family, unfortunately, was, lived an extremely humble life. Mm-hmm. However, Maria was a very beautiful young woman.
Got it.
And sometimes that just seems to matter more than the money part.
Every time, actually. I don't know if you knew that.
It seems. So despite her family's financial status, she grew up surrounded by local boys trying to win her affection. When she was 17, she fell for a man named Thomas Corder. But his family was pretty wealthy, and so both of them knew that this match would not be approved of by his parents. Tale as old as time. Mm-hmm. The mole catcher's daughter. A new German fairy tale.
I'm still trying to process like that its nose can look like that and that it does, as far as I know, does not have eyes. It
does have eyes. They're just underdeveloped because it's underground. They live underground. They burrow in little mole holes.
I've just never seen.
They have tunnels.
I've just never seen an animal that didn't have like very distinct eyes before. It was a shock. That's all.
Okay, I'm glad. I hope you recover swiftly.
Thank you.
You probably won't, but I hope you do.
Oh, yeah.
So she and Thomas actually courted in secret for 4 years, which in a small town, I think is a long time to keep that under wraps.
That's impressive.
I thought so too. And that kind of all went out the window when Mary fell pregnant with Thomas's baby. Uh-oh.
Yeah, can't hide that.
Yes, precisely. So once the baby was born, of course, they could no longer hide their relationship. But what's even more tragic is that only weeks into being alive, this baby passed away. Oh. And this loss put such a strain on Maria and Thomas, in addition to everybody kind of finding out about this relationship and putting that pressure on them, that they parted ways and they couldn't make their relationship last. So when she was about 22, Maria started seeing an even wealthier man named Peter Matthews. And same old, at 23, Maria gets pregnant with this man's baby.
Damn. Okay.
Yes. And she gives birth to a son whom they named Thomas Henry, who fortunately survives. So at least, that has a good ending to it. However, Peter refused to marry Maria or claim his son. Again, he came from a pretty wealthy family. He didn't want to get involved, even though, fuck you, you've been involved long enough.
Douche.
This is your fucking problem to deal with.
Go hunt a mole or something.
No, that's her dad's job. He's going to put him out of business. So he did, however, volunteer child support willingly. So I'm at least glad that she was provided for. And he was very reliable with it and paid her well. So you know what? At least he left and he made sure to support them on his way out. So there's that at least. Maria raised Thomas Henry among family. So her father, Thomas Marten, her sister, Anne Marten, and her stepmother. Now, this is a little confusing because her stepmother's name is Mrs. Anne Marten. So basically her dad remarried and the woman he remarried had the same name as one of his daughters. So there's Anne, the daughter, and then Mrs. Anne Marten, who's the stepmother.
Got it.
They all were very close. They all deeply loved Mary and her son, regardless of the circumstances. And Maria also had a half brother who was her dad and stepmom's son. So this was her half brother. So Maria was admired for being loving and loyal to her family. Her father held her very dear. She was a great writer. She was just pleasant to be around. She was just a delightful person. And so pretty quickly, that plus her good looks, I suppose, Maria started seeing another man. And this guy's name was William Corder. And if that last name sounds familiar, it's because he was the younger brother of that first guy she was dating, Thomas Corder.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was wondering how small is the town?
Very small. Very small. So she starts dating his little brother. And they're, once again, dating in secret. And nobody knows.
A drama. Also, like that wasn't like a one-night stand kind of thing. Like, she was with his brother for like 4 years in hiding.
And lost a baby with him. Like,
yeah, that's an intimate relationship.
Right? Like, gave birth to it. And if you're doing it in secret, like, you're not just doing it for like social reasons. Like, you're really in love with this person.
Is she also in secret with this guy? Because I'd be pissed if I were the first brother. Oh, okay. They're both in secret.
Secret. And so they are, once again, dating in secret because he comes from that same family, the wealthy family who would not approve of this relationship. So, of course, now there's almost this double fear of the family finding out. Like, not only does the family not approve, but also the brother, like you said, would probably be pissed if he found out that his younger brother is now with this woman. So they are like really keeping this under wraps. And Maria once again said, fine, we'll keep this a secret. They frequently met in a barn that the Corder family owned on their property, and it was locally called the Red Barn. Guess what happened next?
She got pregnant.
And, this is time before birth control pills. So if you're dating for years, it's going to happen, Yeah. It's not a surprise. So Maria got pregnant, and William swore he would claim their relationship and marry her when the baby was born. Sadly, this baby died also a few weeks after birth. God. Just really, really horrible. And William still wouldn't go public about their relationship.
Why is everyone so ashamed of her? Jeez.
I know, because she's a daughter of a mole catcher. It's really sad.
Well, I mean,
you know what? That pisses me off. It's like, oh, you're beautiful and I want to have sex with you, but like nobody can know and I don't want.
Yeah, like she wasn't gross when you wanted to get naked with her.
Exactly. It's very telling and like very transparent what's going on here, and it's sad. So, she really was hoping that this was the time that things actually turned around, but he still won't acknowledge his relationship with her publicly, won't acknowledge the baby, and they get into this big disagreement about burying the child because she wants to give it a proper burial and he doesn't want to because he's worried it'll draw attention to their relationship. And he's like, nope, we got to keep this under wraps. And so what he does is he goes and he takes the baby and buries it in a random field.
Oh, wow. That's personal. Great.
Yeah. And this really upsets her for obvious reasons. But, he says, we just don't want it out yet. But I insist on marrying you still. I will take care of you.
Bullshit.
And so, yeah, right. I know. Bullshit. It's like at this point, come on. The writing's on the wall, you mofo.
Yeah.
So he tells Maria's sister Anne that Maria would want for nothing and he would care for her. And it's like, you know what?
She wants is a goddamn diamond ring. Just give it to her.
I don't even think she wants that. She
wants commitment.
She just wants you to not be in a barn with her only. Like, take her to dinner. She wants
you to be proud of her. She wants you to say, dun, dun, dun,
acknowledge that she is your partner. Anything. It's really sad. But so, of course, he's going on all this. It's blowing smoke up everyone's ass, basically, saying like, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of her. But things got more complicated because on May 18th of 1827, according to Maria's father, William, the partner, the boyfriend, showed up at their house frantic, and he had shocking news.
Oh, God.
He said Mr. Ballum, the local constable, had placed a warrant out for Maria's arrest.
Oh, well, I already don't believe it. Okay.
And the charge was having illegitimate children with multiple men, which was technically criminal at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yikes. And the reason for it being criminal is because a lot of times churches or local parishes would have to take on the upkeep or the care of these children. And so it was considered like putting this burden on the state and church and society, which is like, okay, but didn't the dude do it too? No? Okay, just the woman. Got it.
Oh, are you telling me there's something called the patriarchy? That's crazy. Hang on.
I'm so tired of your extremist beliefs, okay? Tone it down.
Stop talking to me like that, Dad. Like
So this is what he shows up. He goes, there's this charge out for her arrest. We gotta go. And so Anne, her sister, said Maria cried all day in despair. But William said, you know what? I'm going to marry Maria. And that way she will be protected, because if she's married, she won't be, illegitimately raising these children. Uh-huh. So Maria got disguised as a man in men's trousers, a waistcoat, and a hat, and was kind of like bustled out of her home and taken away, because William was like, I'll hide her until we get married.
Why couldn't you just get married like right now? I don't understand.
So he had to go to a different town. This is the story, to marry her, because in town there was this warrant out for her arrest. So he's like,
okay, so they had to like cross lines.
Yes. Go get married somewhere, come back with a marriage certificate and be like, loophole,
Okay, got it.
So William told Anne he had Maria's clothes in a bag so she could change later. Once they got past the constable, they would go to Ipswich and be married the following day. And then Maria would come home a, quote, honorable woman and not be accused of this, quote unquote, crime. So they left. But a week later, Mrs. Anne Marten, Maria's stepmother, ran into William out and about without Maria. And she thought, that's strange. Where is she? And he told her, well, we couldn't get married right away. There was an issue with the license. So I sent it to London to get it corrected, but this might take several weeks to process. And so in the meantime, Maria is staying in Yarmouth on the Isle of Wight with the sister of one of my school friends named Miss Rowland, which like, we've said it before, but
a lot of details.
Too many details. Like, people who make up elaborate lies like to just pepper in unnecessary details.
At this point, I don't even believe that there was ever a warrant out for her arrest. I think he was like, let me get you out of town so I can kill you. And then I can finally be done with you being a burden on me.
Wow, Em, you really are onto something here, okay? I'm just going to say that.
I didn't mean to like, I was expecting you to say, no, there really was a warrant out for her arrest and all this.
There wasn't.
Okay, well,
you already really nailed it on that front.
I didn't mean to spoil.
No, like, it's not. I mean, I think everybody was a little wary about that. So you're exactly right. There was no fucking warrant out.
I feel like it just sounds like shitty man after shitty man after shitty man. And like usually where there's shitty men, there's not a lot of thought. There's not a lot of critical thinking. So I feel like the murder was not hard to concoct or figure out from here.
Right. No, I mean, it was like, what's the easiest way to handle this? Here we go.
Anyway.
And that, I mean, you're exactly right. So he says, once the license comes back, we'll get married right away. And William came and went from Polstead for weeks. And every time he left town, he would tell her family, oh, I'm visiting Maria in Yarmouth. Don't worry. She's doing great. She's thriving. And so Mrs. Anne, Maria's stepmother, saw William sometimes 2 or 3 times a day and was always like, hey, how's Maria? Where is she? And he always said Maria was just happy and doing well and loving life. But the Martens were like, well, we haven't heard from her. And like I said earlier, she was a prolific writer. She was, she was known to write regularly. And they're like, it's really weird that she wouldn't just write us a letter to say hi. It's been
like
weeks.
Pass a note to you for us.
Yeah. Yes. Anything. That's a great point. I didn't even think of that. Yeah. Or just like write a note to send back. So, Maria was not the type to cut contact completely with her family, especially because she had a 3-year-old son at home, too. Like, she had to leave, and it was really hard for her to leave her 3-year-old at home to begin with. So you'd think she'd be trying everything in her power to reach out.
Yeah, definitely.
So Thomas Marten, Maria's dad, also saw William in town often. By the way, bold to just be showing your face around all the time. It's like...
if... just get out of town. Just go away.
Fuck off if you're going to pull this stunt.
I was going to say, if I were to murder somebody, you would never see me again.
Yeah, you see him at breakfast the next day? Like, seriously? It pisses me off.
Maybe I just know myself well enough and my level of anxiety. I could not fake
show your
having
face.
Not murdered somebody. Like, I couldn't just go to your house the next day and act like I didn't murder somebody. It would be written all over me. I would literally never be able to come back if I had a chance of getting away with it.
Yes, exactly. I feel like the best bet is to just like peace out, especially back in those days, because it's like
it was so
hard to track people.
I feel like it could have been so think of all the murderers that aren't even on anybody's radar. They just got away with it all the time because all you had to do was just not come back.
This idiot is like you literally change your name and nobody can track you, and you know, I mean, we've seen
and
it
not
a
even
million
really
times.
Change your name, just say it. You have a different name, like,
right? Exactly. Not even not technically change it. Yeah. So this guy's fucking brazen. He keeps showing up. Her family is seeing him every day and is like, where is she? And of course, they're getting more and more suspicious. And every time her dad Thomas asks this guy, like, where the hell is my daughter? William would make these vague excuses. For one example, he told her dad that, oh, Maria just has a really sore hand, so she can't write right now. And it's like, that's the world's worst excuse, okay?
I like how that, by the way, like, you could not use that fucking excuse in today's world of why you're not getting back to somebody.
Oh, right. Her hand hurts.
My hand is a little crampy.
Yeah. It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work these days. So one day, Mrs. Ann Marten's son, so this is the half-brother of Maria, and he's 10 years old. He tells his mother, Maria's stepmom, you know, I saw William leaving the red barn with a pickaxe a few weeks ago.
Well, that'll do it.
And he just felt weird enough about it that he told his mother. And she it stuck with her, right? So Mrs. Marten went and talked to William about it and said, hey, my son saw you leaving with this pickaxe a few months ago. Like, what was going on at the barn? And he said, oh, he must have confused me with someone else. And she was like, well, he's 10. Like,
yeah, he's not an idiot.
He's not an idiot. He can recognize people. He knows it was you. It's your barn. So, like, you know, it's just a strange thing to lie about. But so she went back to her son, who insisted, no, it was William. You know, I can reliably recognize him. And so it was just a weird thing for him to lie about, especially because, like I said, his family owned this barn. Then when they kind of pushed him on it and the son was like, no, it was you I saw, William said, well, I was in the red barn, but I was just taking Maria there because she had to change out of her like man disguise and back into her normal clothes. And they were like, so you were there, but then why did you leave alone with a pickaxe?
And why did you say that our son why were you trying to gaslight me on my kid not seeing you?
Exactly. Like, the second your story starts shifting, like, red flags.
Mm-hmm.
So in the meantime, one of William's closest friends, a man named George Gardner, asked one day, hey, whatever came of that girl Maria that you were dating? Awkward.
Yeah, right.
And William, ever the gentleman, responded, she's all right, I suppose. She's in the keeping of Mr. Matthews, who was her ex, the ex who fathered her baby, her son. So he just kind of was like, meh, who cares? Who knows? She's back with her old man.
So he's not even trying to keep the same alibi in the same town.
No. Literally, like, not even. That's a great point.
Not a single fucking thought to this plan.
Not a fucking thought. So basically the friend's like, oh, okay, so and by the way, the other guy, the father of her child, is still in town too. So, like, he's going to be like, no, she's not with me. You know, it's just stupid. It's so stupid. God,
I know he's not going to get away with it, which makes me happy. But if for some reason this were a cold case, I'd scream.
Oh, that's when we really want to just rip all our hair out. Yeah, no, thankfully it does have not a happy ending, but like a conclusion, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So months go by with no word from Maria, and I really don't know what William thought would happen. Like, that they were just going to forget she existed, her family. Like, I don't know what he thought would happen, but he just kept hanging around and she just never showed up. And eventually, when they start pestering him more and more, he just leaves town for good. He's like, actually, I'm moving, which is, finally, you know, at least he's finally getting a head on his shoulders. Yeah, get the hint. So he leaves town for good, and he tells her family, the marriage license finally arrived. I'm going to go off to Yarmouth to fetch Maria, and we will bring her back to visit within the month. Well, obviously, they never came back.
Mm-hmm.
Maria still didn't write, and Maria's dad got 3 final letters from William himself, but that was it. So one day in March, Mrs. Marten finally got the courage to tell her husband something that had been bothering her.
Ooh.
She said to him, I think, were I in your place, I would go and examine the Red Barn. And her husband's like, why? And she admits, I have been having these nightmares about Maria.
Oh, gosh.
And apparently they started before Christmas. So this is March. And she said she's been having these dreams since right around Christmas time that Maria is buried in the Red Barn.
Oh, God.
And the thing about it was, in town, she was actually known, Mrs. Ann, the stepmother, was known for having prophetic dreams. And weirdly enough, this was something that, well, I guess it wasn't weird at all, because think about how people reacted to witchcraft only, 200 years earlier, but she really tried to keep this hidden. And her husband was like, oh, that's all poppycock. Like, I don't know if he said that word, but I'd like to think he did.
I didn't know anyone on earth ever said that word until this
oh, my
moment.
dad does. So that's where I got it from, I guess.
Got it.
But so
interesting. Okay, so because right off the bat, my thought is, which maybe she has an issue with gore or something, but I feel like if you had a vision that close to home, like that physically close to home and that emotionally close to home, I would just like maybe want to investigate myself before like saying something like that to her dad. And like, I don't know, that's a personal thing. But the other thing that is much more pressing is like, how fucking stupid can this man be? Not the dad, this fucking William guy. Because like, he's been going back to the crime scene multiple times. And like, he also said they left town. He couldn't have literally brought her out of town, so there was no evidence of this. Like,
what was the point of this disguise and all this nonsense?
Yeah, what was the ruse for? Like, you could have just, like, I don't understand why you couldn't have at least said, there's a warrant out, let's go get married, bring her to a town while she's alive so she's totally, like falling for the bit, and then get her away from everybody and kill her, and there's just never proof. I can't imagine a crime with less thought put into it. Like,
yeah, it's really stupid. And it's of course, I'm glad it's stupid because at least it means we got to the bottom of it. But like, it's almost insulting how brazen and dumb he's being, because it's like, wow, you really thought nobody would fucking figure this out?
That's what I was about to say. It feels insulting because like she wasn't. One of the reasons we hated him off the bat is because she like had done nothing wrong and was like, for some reason, not worth his fucking time to like commit in any way or profess public adoration for. But like, even in death, she's not even worth thinking about for a death plan, which I know is like such a fucked up thing to say, but like never in a time when she's been a part of your life have you spent 5 seconds even considering anything. Like, it's, I don't know.
And then
so
you're telling stories about her. You're not even like committing, quote unquote, to the bit afterward. You're making shit up and just saying, I don't care. She's somewhere else.
It's like, very much the narcissist,
so dismissive. Like, yes.
The arrogant confidence, cockiness that you can get away with it thing.
It's exactly that. And it's just insulting and upsetting.
Yeah.
So she's having these dreams, and she, like I said, she's scared to tell her husband because he doesn't believe in any of this. He doesn't like her talking about all of it because, again, this carried a big stigma to be like foreseeing the future, and it just was something he was like, let's keep that on the DL. I don't believe in it, and you need to not talk about it.
Yeah,
and
shut up. Yeah.
Shut up. And she wasn't fond of it either, but she kept having these dreams, and they happened so often that she finally was like, I have to tell him. So she tells her husband, let me quote it here. I have very frequently dreamed about Maria, and twice before Christmas, I dreamed that Maria was murdered and buried in the Red Barn.
Damn.
And these dreams were so sort of realistic or so what's the word, so convincing that she had never been in the barn before, but she said she had seen the inside of it and knew where inside the barn where this murder had taken place. So she was almost seeing the inside of it in her dreams.
Ugh, it almost makes me wonder if that's also like an astral projection thing,
right,
where you're like, your body is
like, is it a dream or are you really visiting there?
One soul is finding another or something.
Yes. So she tells her husband, and her husband's like, you know what? Fine, I'll go check out the red barn. And I also think the reason why she didn't go check it out herself is she's a woman, and it's like, back in the 1820s, you're probably not just going to go on someone else's property and start like looking through there. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, it wasn't her barn?
No, it was the Williams family's barn.
Oh, this whole time I thought he killed her on her own parents' property.
No.
And I was like, you're so fucking stupid.
No. His barn. And so that's why
that makes so much more sense.
She didn't want to trespass and, look herself. It's probably dangerous. Mm-hmm. So finally, her husband was like, okay, you know what? Maybe you're right. Let me go check out the barn. So at first, Mr. Marten was like, I don't know. This sounds a little too superstitious for me. It's just a dream. But once Mrs. Marten had one more nightmare and was like, I can't handle this anymore, I insist you go check it out. He was like, fine, I'll go. So he went to the red barn. He took a man named Botel, and they cleaned up the floor for a better view of the dirt. And they noticed one spot that looked a little bit looser than the other floorboards.
Okay.
And they started pushing dirt aside, and this spot gave way easily, like it had never been like tamped down properly. Mm-hmm. It was only 18 inches deep, and he stuck his mole digging device into it.
Okay.
And he pulled out something that seemed to be part of a human body.
Ugh.
And so, of course, they dig down and they find a human body wrapped in a heavy sack. So in some spots, the sack had started decomposing with the body, and really all they could see was this green silk handkerchief. So Mr. Marten rushed home and asked his wife, probably with like dread in his heart, what handkerchief was Maria wearing the day she left home? And she says, it was a green silk handkerchief.
Oof.
And that's when he knew he had discovered his daughter's body. So the coroner arrived quickly, pretty immediately declared it a homicide, and a jury was summoned to view the body before burial to get a total glimpse of what was going on. And although this was the early 1800s, before modern forensics, obviously, the coroner was able to determine that Maria was likely strangled with the green handkerchief she was wearing. But they think she was killed by a bullet shot to the head with a pistol.
Oh my God.
And she had been stabbed several times with a sword.
Wow, he fucking really, with a sword? He really made sure she was...
sword.
He wanted to know for sure she was not going to
horrible.
Survive.
Horrible.
Wow.
So Maria's sister, Anne Marten, confirmed the body's identity. She was able to recognize Maria's hair and her missing tooth on the body, and also her earrings, clothes, and a comb she had on her. The Martens were brought in to make statements, and Anne said she had not seen Maria since May 18th the previous year, when William Corder came to the house to take her away with him. And Anne remembered that he had a gun with him that day because he told her not to mess with it because it was loaded.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Good sign. So as the pieces came together, the constable said he had never once had a warrant out for Maria's arrest. And
ding, ding.
Certainly didn't tell William there was one. So there you go. Already a big fat lie. Maria was already raising one child with her family, and the child was 10 years old at this point, and she grew up in this town. So despite like any scandals that might have occurred or like the technical criminal behavior, she was really well liked. Like the constable was not after her. It was all made up. It was all fake. So local authorities were quickly convinced, obviously, that William was responsible for the murder. So April 23rd of 1828, which was almost a year since Maria's disappearance, a man named Constable Ayres traveled to London to arrest William. Now, I have a quick fun fact for you here, which is that Constable Ayres, who went to arrest William, was assisted in this kind of mission by a man named James Lee. James Lee was an officer of the London police who later led the investigation into Spring-Heeled Jack.
Shut up.
I know.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. So Constable Ayres had actually gotten information on where William was from his own brother-in-law, George Gardner. Remember the best friend who was like, hey, whatever happened to Maria?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that guy is the constable's brother-in-law. So he's like, I know where he is.
How did William not think, the constable's brother-in-law is getting...
Literally.
He's starting to wonder. Like, he's getting curious and sniffing around.
And I've just lied to his face. Yeah.
And I feel like I don't need to see a picture of this William guy to know exactly what he looked like. And that he somehow managed to be 100% purely fucking shocked, gobsmacked, when the constable was like, no, there's no warrant out. And he found a way to just truly be flabbergasted that
he tried
plan
everything.
didn't work.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
It's it. What? I didn't see this coming that people
You're
would find
100%
out.
onto it, because I'm going to tell you all the ways which he tried to explain what happened.
Okay. I love this fucking story, by the way, Christine.
I
Well
mean, 100%.
done.
Like, you're really getting in the mindset of this fucking guy.
It's not hard when the killer is so stupid. So.
Oh my God. It's embarrassing, honestly. So, yeah, he gets from his brother-in-law, George, William's best friend, is like, I know where he's staying in London. So he gets the address, and this constable goes and tracks down William.
Of course he gave someone his address.
What?
Of course he gave someone his direct address.
Yeah, exactly. George, the one that fucking is related to the constable. Dummy. And so the constable goes to the address, and guess who's shocked to see him? William and his wife.
The plot thickens. I gotta tell you. Wow.
So his wife, Mary, a little too close to home, in my opinion, is like, wait, what? And so, turns out he had gotten married already within the year of murdering Maria. And he was married to a woman named Mary Moore, who is the daughter of a successful jeweler. And the two of them were already running a girls' boarding school together. And they lived there. Like, they were, which is also very ew in its own way.
I don't want him anywhere near children.
No, or young women. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
So I have another fun fact here. I'm going to tell you how they met. Turns out William had moved, when he moved out of town, like finally he just peaced out. He had placed a Lonely Hearts advertisement in the Times, and it basically requested women who had some means, like who had money, who came from money.
He literally said, I need a rich girl.
Yes.
That's how we're doing this.
And guess what? He received more than 100 replies from the Times.
Weird. I would have thought all of them would have been like, fuck you.
Nope. They were like, sounds good to me, because he comes from money too. So it's like a good match,
I guess so. And maybe they were like 21-year-old spinsters. They were desperate.
Oh, God forbid. God forbid. According to a book about this case by Judith Flanders, he had also placed advertisements in the Morning Herald and the Sunday Times, which received 93 replies in total, but he never even picked those up. He's like, these 100 will do. I'll sort through these.
Can you imagine having access to 200 eligible women who all want you without even looking at you?
They're just like, I'm in. Yeah, no picture, nothing.
They had no idea what a dummy they were going on a date with.
I guess not. And they actually ended up publishing all of these letters.
I need all of them.
I know. In a book the following year. Okay, so here it's by anonymous, but here's the name of this book that contained these letters. 1828 by Anon. An accurate account of the trial of William Corder for the murder of Maria Marten of Polstead, Suffolk, to which are added an explanatory preface and 53 of the letters sent by various ladies in answer to Corder's matrimonial advertisement.
That was not long enough.
Catchy title.
Also, I'm hoping you read that out of your Amazon cart, because you're buying me one for my birthday, just so we're clear.
I really got to get my hands on a copy.
I gotta know.
Imagine all the letters trying to win him over just from that Lonely Hearts advertisement. I mean, it's all
the
wild.
Lucky women who didn't make it.
Yeah. Wow.
See, that's
true.
what happens if you go on a date, folks, on Tinder or Bumble or whatever, and you set something up and then it ends up just not panning out, you never meet them, they could have been a murderer.
Dodge a bullet. You dodged a bullet. Just tell yourself, even if you don't know, just tell yourself.
Even if they're not a murderer, they could have been this stupid.
Could have been a fucking dummy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So these are published the following year, which I just think is a delight because sometimes, nothing really was good back then, but the way that they handled the media sometimes gives me a good laugh. Like they would just publish this shit. And I was like, you know what? I got to hand it to them. They at least knew how to entertain,
Yeah, like we got nothing. We don't have electricity. We don't have TV, but we do have.
Women can't vote, but you know what? We got a good story for you.
The good old alphabet, and we know how to arrange it in some juicy strings of sentences.
We use our alphabet for entertainment purposes. So good for you. So when police tell William he is suspected of murdering Maria Marten, he said, get this, M, you're gonna just die. He said, and I quote, I never knew any such person, even by name.
Shut the fuck up.
And the guy who's arresting him is the constable that he knows from his hometown. Like, they know each other. He's best friends with this guy's brother-in-law.
It's like how does...
It's literally the dumbest thing that's ever happened.
Like, how does he look them in the eyes?
It's amazing.
Like you imagine like you're him.
Uh-huh.
I'm the constable, and you just said, I don't know this woman that I've obviously discussed with you before. Like the eye roll, like my eyes would fall into my head. Like, I can't imagine. I can't imagine the groan that came out of the constable being like, that's the game we're playing? Okay.
Legitimately. And I wonder what you would say, because what the constable said was, why don't you think carefully?
I would have laughed in his face.
I love.
That's such a classy line. Why don't you think more on this or whatever? What do you say?
Just love, like, why don't you think carefully? Because it's sort of like, you're treading on thin ice here, pal. And we both know how stupid you're being. So why don't we just take one more shot at this? Try again.
It has to be like embarrassing. Like, can you imagine?
I'm embarrassed. So I hope he's embarrassed.
I can't imagine you calling me out on like, hey, where's Allison? And me looking you in the eyes and being like, who's Allison? And like
yes, it's the same fucking thing. It's like as if
I'd be like, did you have a head injury?
I was going to say, it's almost like you have amnesia all of a sudden. Like there's no other explanation.
Oy.
So he's like, try again. Basically, which is what M would say, I think.
I love the try again game.
And he continued to insist he had never met anyone named Maria Marten, which, I mean, obviously I don't even need to say this, but it was such a stupid lie because they grew up together in the same tiny town. His own brother publicly had a baby with her. So, like, even if people didn't know about their relationship, like, he obviously knew who she was. So, like, dumb, okay? And so he's arrested. And on the way back to Polstead, police said they were shocked by how casual William was about Maria's death, as if he didn't care at all, which is not surprising to me.
Keep going.
You're gonna like this next part.
Okay.
They had to stop for the night to stay at an inn, and so one of the constables handcuffed himself to William to make sure he didn't run away, and they had to sleep like that.
Can you imagine having to sleep handcuffed to a murderer?
No.
That's the bravest constable.
That's above my fucking payroll.
Yeah, not even a little bit. I'd be like, you're handcuffed to the wall.
Yeah, I was gonna say, handcuffed to a fucking radiator.
Yeah. Well, I guess you want to make sure that, like, you wake up if something happens. But also, like, where's the... Like, I would handcuff both of his hands at the very least, because what if he tries to strangle me?
I was gonna say, he could just turn around and strangle you. Well... Anyway, so he got handcuffed to this guy. I guess nothing of note happened. That night, William actually wrote a letter to his mom to give her a heads up about the charges. Like, hey, Mom, quick side note.
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl, some things are about to go down. He also asked her to please host his wife in her home and be kind to his wife and her family on his behalf, which makes me sick because he treated Maria like such shit. And now that he's married to a woman of means, he's like, please take her in and take good care of her. And it's like, you asshole.
I hope we get an epilogue of where the woman ended up, where his wife
seriously ended up. Really pisses me off. So he apologized to his mother in this letter for the shame he was bringing to their family. He told the constables that in the last 2 years, one of his brothers had drowned and the other two had died of consumption. And he was actually the mother's only surviving son. And now she was basically going to lose her last remaining son, which is like horrifying. And this, to be honest, seemed to be the only thing he felt guilty about, which is backwards, but at least he felt guilty about something, I guess. The next day, several magistrates visited William at the inn, along with a clergyman who encouraged him to confess to his crimes and pray for forgiveness. William said he did commit great sins, but this was not one of them. So
I would like him to list what he thinks a great sin is
that
he's committed.
You round up the rest then, just for our understanding.
And then he'd be like, I don't know what a sin is. And I'd be like, oh,
I've never met a sin by name in my life. Okay, sir. Okay. Then William's brother-in-law, Mr. Moore. So this is Mary Moore's brother, the jeweler's daughter's brother. Does that make sense? The one he married in London who had no idea about his past. The Lonely Hearts winner, loser. I don't know.
Yeah.
Depending on how you look at it.
Loser.
Yeah, unfortunately. So her brother showed up on behalf of Mary, his sister, William's wife. And he said to William, how could you send letters that you were living happily with Maria Marten when at the same time you were living with my sister whom you had married? And William said, I shall say nothing about it. So that was the end of that. Once they got back to Polstead and William went on trial, he actually faced 9 different charges.
Okay.
This is because the coroner couldn't confirm Maria's cause of death, so they were charging him with every possibility, including shooting, stabbing, strangulation, and even burying her alive, just to throw one more on top of the list. Honestly, yeah. He was also being charged for forgery over cashing a fraudulent check. And I will say there was another issue that came up in, I think, 1 or 2 of the sources I read, that this asshole, before Maria had even died, and by died I mean murdered by him, they'd gotten into an argument because he had cashed a check that belonged to her. It was a £5 note, which in today's money is like $700. And it had come as child support from the other guy, Matthews or whatever his name was. He had sent it to support her son and his son, and this motherfucker William just went and took it. And
so he's been also he's also been, I don't know what the right word is it embezzling?
Like stealing from her? Yeah. So I don't know if that was the specific charge, but he went and just cleaned out her accounts, which is like, she doesn't have much, and this is for her child. And you're the one who comes from money, but still you're like taking the last of what she has to pay for her son's food. I think
I'm becoming numb to how
fucked up he is.
Obnoxious this guy is. Because I'm like, it doesn't even surprise me. I'm like, of course.
And like this, of course, now is like the least of the problems because he did something so much worse. But it just goes to show like what a shitty partner he was to begin with. So, this being a small town, many of William's own neighbors that he grew up with were subpoenaed as witnesses in the trial. There was a woman named Phoebe Stowes who lived in the cottage right by the Red Barn. And she said that one day in early May of 1827, although she couldn't confirm the exact date, William showed up to her cottage beside the barn and asked to borrow a shovel.
Okay.
And she said she only had one and it was pretty junky, but he said any shovel would work for what he needed it for. So she lent him a shovel and he went on his way. Maria's younger brother was then put on stand and he repeated his statement about seeing William leaving the barn with a pickaxe. A local man claimed he had been hired by William to sharpen his sword, which in my mind shows some premeditation.
You don't forget a word like sword.
Right?
Definitely noteworthy.
Noteworthy for sure. And then, of course, there were the letters from William to the Martens claiming Maria was staying with his friend in Yarmouth, but a quick investigation proved that that was obviously a huge lie and Maria was never there. William's friend George, who's just been kind of in the middle of all this, testified that William lied about having a relationship with Maria, and then the constable talked about how, I arrested him. He said he'd never heard of Maria. So basically, they're just piling on to this guy, which he obviously deserves. And so at this point, William has no defense to fall back on. He's cornered. And so his attorney tries to claim that Maria died by suicide.
Of course.
Right. So the attorney claims, oh, well, they were having an argument, and so she took the gun from him and shot herself. And everyone,
that's the most sound thing I've heard all day.
It really fills in all the gaps, right? Like, especially the part where she got stabbed by a sword. Like, I guess she did that too.
She actually grabbed the sword from him.
Oh,
and
I see.
Just kept running it into herself.
She ran into the sword, shot herself, and strangled herself, and buried herself. So, you know.
And died all of those ways independently
at
too.
once.
So,
yeah, it was pretty impressive, right? So
and they actually had never met. It was what's wild.
Oh, that's true. He wasn't even there. He'd never heard of her before. You're totally
Not a day
right.
in his life.
Honestly, that's pretty impressive. You're right. You're 100% right. So basically, this is their new claim, and of course, nobody fucking buys it. Nobody thinks that she really took her own life, and actually, William did not seem surprised at all. I think he realized when the jury returned a guilty verdict, he was like, okay, I knew this would happen. And he was sentenced to hang the following week. So, as you can imagine, the trial itself was a circus. Hundreds of people were gathered outside, yelling, singing, dancing. The public had already determined that William was guilty. The judge was not a fan of that. You know, he believed in a fair trial and was worried the jury's opinion would be skewed, but it didn't matter because William was like, he just kind of accepted his sentence. He didn't really try to appeal or anything like that. The day before William's execution, he signed a confession with a new version of what happened. He said, oh, well, I'll tell you what really happened. So buckle up. He said they got in an argument in this barn. And when Maria grabbed his arm in anger, he instinctively pulled out his pistol and accidentally shot her.
Oh, wow. Someone's trigger happy.
Yeah. And also, like, he said he didn't stab her. And I'm like, okay, then who stabbed? Like, then
yeah,
who?
but someone came in and poked her with a sword 40 times to see if she was dead.
It doesn't make any sense. So he's like, no, I shot her for sure. But I didn't stab her, even though my sword was really sharp. Like, come on, idiot. So I don't know if he's just trying to get into heaven or what. Like, I really don't know by saying it's an accident, but he does claim this is an accident. And so, you know, the execution goes forward. It's a spectacle, is the... what do you call it? Understatement of the century. Mm-hmm. Between 7,000 and 20,000 people showed up. We don't know the exact number. Reporters were especially shocked by how many women were there because apparently a hanging was not considered appropriate for women, especially women with wealth and standing. I actually have a quote about this, which is kind of fun. So,
okay.
According to one account, the number of respectable ladies present is at once a convincing proof of the intense curiosity which prevailed in this county to witness every action of quarter. For we are sure that nothing but this could have induced respectable females to have been present to witness a catastrophe so uncongenial with the delicacy of their sex. One lady, when gently chided for being present, said that she had a right to witness the end of the man who had inhumanly butchered one of her sex.
Oh.
I'm like, okay. Yeah, girl. She's like, you know what? He murdered one of my kind, so I can be here. Fuck you.
I'm also, okay, so here's the thing. My brain did that thing where I heard flowery words and it started just shutting down.
Oh, yeah. I figured maybe that would happen.
But I know that if that happened to me, that certainly happened to him. And I like that she humbled him that way.
Yeah, she absolutely humbled him, which I love. Basically, they were like, oh, this is such a unwomanly event. Why would you come here? And she's like, you know what? He killed one of my own, so I can be here. And listen, I don't agree with public hangings. That's the least of what I like, you know, etc.
Yeah, I think we know that. That's for sure. Yeah.
So, but in general, I just think that's a lovely retort.
It's a good comeback of like, fuck you, he did this. I'm allowed to do it. Like, I'm allowed to be here for my kind.
Why are you yelling at me? Also, like, why are you chiding this stranger for being there? Like, fuck off. Anyway, it just really pissed me off. So I actually have a picture. I have a couple of pictures here. This is a crowd that had gathered at the hanging, which just kind of goes to show like how many people. It's a drawing depiction. I'll send it to the group.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a lot of people.
It's a big crowd.
That's hundreds of people.
And again, this is like a really small town. So this was
people were coming in from all over.
Coming in from all over.
Which I can't process the fact that people used to travel to watch someone get executed. That's beyond.
And like have picnics and shit.
Ugh, yeah, well, we could get into that forever.
So in his final moments, William addressed the huge crowd and he said, "I am guilty. My sentence is just. I deserve my fate, and may God have mercy on me."
I was going to say, let me guess, now he's doing it for Jesus.
For God. Of course.
All of a sudden, so he can get into heaven in the last moment.
Well, obviously, So I have one more photo here.
Oh, okay.
So it's like it's like a sketch of the hanging itself. And it's so wild to me that at the top it says, "This print is given gratuitous." So like this print is given for free to the purchasers of Weekly Dispatch. So basically if you bought that paper, like you got this fun free print, this poster included.
Like when I used to get magazine subscriptions, I always wanted like the centerfold. It was like a Tiger Beat poster of like Dream Street. But with this magazine, you can get a hand-drawn sketch of someone who was at the execution.
A noose.
Jeez Louise. Oh, my God.
And don't worry. It also explains at the bottom here. Let's see. The hangman is adjusting the rope around the prisoner's neck while an assistant is supporting the wretched man. Okay. Well,
I feel
anyway.
like if you have to caption your drawing probably wasn't that good. Or like,
great point.
I mean, it was a great drawing, but like, I think I'm sensing some insecurity from the artist. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we get it. So that is the picture. So there were a couple rumors that kind of circulated afterward, and this one is pretty wild. I don't believe it's true, but it's interesting how people's minds work. One of the rumors was about the dreams Anne was having. And Anne, the stepmother, was actually only a year older than Maria. So her stepmother was only a year older. And one rumor stated that she, the stepmother, and William Corder had been having an affair as well.
What?
And that the two had planned the murder to dispose of Maria, and that her quote unquote dreams were just a way of getting William like pinned down for this so she could be free of the blame. But again, this seems like quite a stretch.
What a stretch. Yeah, it sounds more like if they were in on it together, she got guilty and like used her visions as. But also, like, honestly, I'm surprised this story ended without all of the men turning on the woman with like relatively witchy gifts. Like,
I know
that could have so easily
and I can
been,
understand like 100 years earlier it probably would have gone that way.
I mean, how easy, like, oh, you're only a year different than his daughter, you're jealous of her or something, like
she's so beautiful,
she's so loved around town.
Ugh. Yeah, no, you're totally
shocked.
Right.
I'm shocked it didn't go that way.
That's probably why she spent months not saying anything about her dreams, you know?
Yeah.
So once this guy was hanged, his body was put on display for a whole day, with the skin of his chest peeled back so that everyone could see his muscles.
What? Why?
Because it was the 1820s. I don't know.
What the fuck is the reason for that?
Oh, it gets weirder. So they
hang on. Sorry. Okay, say it again. They skinned his chest?
They put him on display with the skin of his chest peeled back to display his inner muscles.
Okay.
And this was basically just put, like, since he's a criminal, basically they were like, well, we can kind of do anything we want. And since the average person wasn't able to like see something like this in their everyday life, thousands of people came by to like witness this.
So they turned this into a fucking science class or something.
Yes.
Wild.
And they also did a demonstration in front of students at Cambridge where they attached a battery to his limbs to demonstrate the contraction of muscles and like how you could kind of make a body move even after death, which is so disturbing.
God.
And now I have one more photo for you here, or one more picture.
If it's his muscles contracting from a battery, Christine.
I'm sorry, I won't. I promise I would not be doing that. So here's just like a little Penny Dreadful of this story. It's just like a little...
Oh, that's violent.
Yeah, it's kind of disturbing. And this was turned into like a whole theater play. Like people... It just had so many different aspects to it. Like the murder, the supernatural dreams, the execution.
Definitely could be thrown in as a theater production.
Yes, it was. Here's actually, I'm sending you a picture now of an illustration of a man doing a puppet show for children.
Okay, that's a lot.
It's called The Murder of Maria Marten in the Red Barn for kids. And at the bottom, interestingly, it says The Peep Show, which, you just take that and run with it, I guess. So I have another random fun fact for you, which is that doctors, they didn't have access to his brain, so they used his skull and did some phrenology on it, where you kind of...
touch the bumps.
The bumps and all that, which, this is my time to point out that phrenology is a totally bogus science and is rooted in everything bad. So racism, sexism, eugenics basically has been used over the centuries to prove that certain races are superior, and it's all bunk science. Obviously, none of it's real. So, just so everyone's aware of this.
Do what you will with that.
Yes. But so, of course, they examined his brain, him being a criminal and all, or not his brain, I'm sorry, his skull. And they determined that the parts of his skull that represented secretiveness and destructiveness were more developed. But then the areas that housed good traits like benevolence and kindness were underdeveloped. It's like, okay, well, I could have told you that from not looking at his skull.
I was going to say, I think anyone with, 2 ounces of common sense could have said all that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't need his bones to tell me. So in the final act of his sentence, William's body was flayed. His skin was tanned and used to bind a book.
What was the book?
Oh, let me tell you. The book...
Was it the book about his, 93 love letters?
Oh, wait, no.
What?
Sorry. I thought you were going to say. It was a book about his crimes. So it was the story of the Red Barn murder. And then they bound the story in his own skin.
That feels like it's its own crime, but...
It is. I mean, it, to me, at least socially.
Who would want to pick that up? I mean, no. I was going to say, I get it. No, I don't.
No.
I was going to say, to hold a book...
that was...
Of the person.
I know that was,
the person? Ugh.
Kind of a common thing back then. Not a common thing, but, remember there was one in Boston, a library in Boston that had, books made of skin.
Yeah.
It was kind of a thing, but I don't really, this seems just kind of showy and weird. And so, so they basically wrote a book about his crimes and then made the book out of his skin. It's what the fuck?
It is crazy. If there was a museum for serial killers, I mean, at the Zach Bagans Museum, there's the room that is all about serial killers, and there's Charles Manson's actual glasses and shit. And it is weird to be so close to that stuff, and not in an enjoyable way, by the way. It's very gut-wrenching. And I guess if you're into that kind of stuff, to hold a book about a criminal and it's made of the criminal, I guess if that's your thing. But
yeah,
other than that, I can't imagine wanting... It's the same concept of would you wear a shirt that a killer wore? It's
right.
Do I want to read a book while I'm touching...
Of his skin?
The killer?
Nah.
No.
Nope. Not even a little bit, to be honest.
Super good.
I'm super good, thank you.
I'm super good without that.
So this is the last of it. Basically, his widow, Mary Moore, apparently advertised for sale the glasses he was wearing at the trial. So I guess to make some money off it. I'm not sure.
I just said.
Yeah, someone's going to probably buy it. And a tobacco box that featured Maria's face on it, which is ooh, I don't know about that. Mm-hmm. And so the book itself and the other remains, including his death mask that they had made, are actually still on display in Suffolk at the Moyses Hall Museum. So if you really are interested, you can go see it. And then my last bullet point here, in 2007, a woman who was apparently distantly related to William, though not by blood, requested that these items be taken down and buried in a respectful manner. But a man more closely related to William and by blood said, nope, I'd like them to stay in the museum. Gross. So in the end, the woman withdrew her request and the display remains today.
Wow. Huh.
The end.
What a scandal. What a... Man, you really... That was a good one.
A roller coaster, man.
You know, when I say good one, I obviously don't mean good one. But that was definitely one full of banter. That's one that, like,
yes.
If I were sitting at a restaurant and I overheard someone telling that story, I'd be like, girl, what? Like,
I'd be like, Em, are you listening to anything I'm saying? You'd be like, no, because you are not as interesting as the people
I'd be
at
like,
that table.
Christine, shut your mouth.
Shut
we'll talk
your
later. I was like, we're listening.
Mouth.
There are times so you know you're in good company at a restaurant when you're sitting there and both of you, without saying anything, like mutually agree to shut up because something juicy is happening.
Activity. It's my favorite. I'm just gonna send you a picture of the Red Barn too while we're at it. But basically, the Red Barn, just like everything else that seems to have happened in that era, was taken apart piece by piece by looky-loos who wanted to come and storm the crime scene. And so people were taking planks of wood and like making souvenirs and just, you know, all that gross stuff. So it basically was like picked apart. But here is an illustration of it from back in the day. Wow.
Well, Christine, well done.
Thank you. I'm sorry it was so long. I really thought, this is going to be a short one.
Whenever there's an opportunity I had like 45 minutes worth of things to say about that stupid fucking mole with the,
I was gonna say I had you at mole and then we were kind of downhill from there, so to speak.
I stand by what I said. That mole looks like a Pokemon gone wrong. There's something going on.
It does look a little bit like a Pokemon glitch, and you kind of like forgot half its face, or like. Yeah,
you certainly forgot the eyes and the nose.
Okay, I see it. All right, you know what?
Someone who listens probably has a mole and is incredibly offended. I'm sorry, but
I'm offended.
Really
so honestly,
it's a shock to the system when you see an animal without a face.
No, please.
Okay, well, anyone, thank you so much for listening, and when this comes out, we'll be almost 31 and 32.
That's so beautiful.
Wild? We started this at 24 and 25.
Dear Lord.
Not to like totally age us.
Cool. But, can you save that for sad happy hour, please? Because I'm not ready to discuss it.
All right. If you guys are if you're part of our Patreon, you want to go listen to us talk more because 2.5 hours was not enough for you. You can do that. We're gonna go have an after chat. So we'll see you there. And
all right, sounds good. I never get used to this.
And
maybe when I'm 40. That's
why
we
drink.